Welcome to SicEm365 Radio.
Grounds it to first and coming home. Betts beats a throw with a head-first slide. And the Dodgers take a 2-1 lead.
SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
0-2 to Betts, a hanger that's drilled to deep left center field and gone! Maybe the finishing touch.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Now the Dodgers are 1 out away. Call strike 3. The Dodgers win. Finally, the wait is over. The Dodgers are the champions of 2020 in a year like no other, where joy has been so hard to come by.
Now here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
Well, good afternoon on this frigid Wednesday afternoon on the corner of Elm and MLK across from the Brazos River. And it is absolutely just very bitter and cold outside, no question. I should have asked Dylan Doyle today when he was on in the media Zoom session. Craig and Paul were a part of it as well. I think Grayson. Should have asked him, don't you feel at home now? Because this is like, for them, this is no big deal.
I think this is summer weather for people in Iowa. I don't think this is anything that's a big deal. It's better today than it was yesterday, though, by a long shot.
It's not as windy and wet and damp or whatever. At least it's not right now. We will hear a comment from Dylan Doyle and Terrell Bernard. They both discussed today many things, including they have said that no doubt that they felt like yesterday's practice was their best practice of the fall. They haven't had many. And that means, okay, can today then be the next best or the better than yesterday? And can they put them all together? Also been told that everybody is back on the offensive line. Everybody. Now, they've been on and off, up and down, but they will have practices throughout the week. And, of course, they have testing. I guess it was today. And then they'll have testing again on Friday. TCU on Saturday afternoon. Right down the road. Was that a mile? Is that about a mile to the stadium? I'm not sure if it's even quite a mile to McLean Stadium from our location right here.
Well, you can't get lost. You walk out of the door and you walk left. I mean, that's how you get to McLean Stadium.
One of the things, and we'll hear from R.J. Sneed, Scott Drew, and also Jared Butler on the preseason All-Big 12 team release. Jared is the player of the year, preseason player of the year. They're also going to head to overseas for the university games, the World University Games. So a lot to get to. We will digest the World Series. And I was going to use that later because I want to get into the Baylor comments first. And then also how the team has reacted to Sunday evening's news and all the swirling about Treston Ebner and John Lovett. Will do that as well. In fact, let's get to that now. Dylan Doyle and Terrell Bernard, these are kind of back-to-back, asking them about how the team dealt with Sunday afternoon's drama and how have they moved forward as a team.
Yeah, so we had gotten the news about Treston and John, and I think generally there was a little bit of confusion, but talking to those guys, there were personal things going on that we hadn't considered, and you know we've talked about it and we moved on from it. We I think as a team we probably had our best practice of the year yesterday on Tuesday. It was a physical practice with a lot of energy. We termed Tuesdays competition Tuesdays, and I think it was just that. We brought the energy, and that was a lot of fun. And, you know, we're moving on to TCU now. It's not about one guy. And, you know, we're focused on getting better as a team. And I think we did that yesterday, which is it's our biggest priority. So.
Yeah, I think really it's nobody's perfect. That's the main thing. I mean, tensions run high, especially when things aren't going how we want and we're not winning. But I think those guys have come back, and we all had meetings. We've had full team meetings, individual meetings, and you know they've explained their side. You know they kind of came out and said what they were thinking and what happened and where they were wrong. And you know we all came back and we all came together from it. And I think it's going to push us into this week. And I know everybody's put that behind us, and we're ready to go. All
right, so those are the linebackers, and two of them, Dylan Doyle and also Terrell Bernard. There are some things that they told us personally that we hadn't considered. It's not about one guy. Tensions run high, especially after a loss. They came back, and they also explained where they were wrong. So there was drama Sunday evening, although there's been some that have tried to counter that. We know the story. They've moved on. We're not trying to go back and peel back any kind of a scar, but that needed to be heard from a couple of guys that are leaders on this team. And it's not about one guy. And it's good that they got through it. The coaching staff has to get credit as well for kind of making sure this did not linger into the middle part of the week.
Yeah, they dealt with it as a team. It seems like they've moved on from it, and it seems like they had good, frank discussions about it. So that's a pretty important thing when you have something that can upset the apple cart as much as two guys opting out in the middle of the season can, and for various reasons. So it sounds like everybody's on the same page now, and that's good.
I think one thing that you guys could definitely say about me is I'm not some corporate kiss booty. You know, I'm not going to sugarcoat or kiss any booty, but I will say that SicEm365 handled this really well, the story, the whole way through. And for anybody that had any doubts about the validity of what was going on or if things were being blown out of proportion, just listen to those quotes right there. They had to have team talks. They had to have individual meetings, team meetings. The players who decided they were going to possibly leave in Lovett and Ebner, as Terrell Bernard just said there, had to say where they were wrong. You know, so clearly there was that going on as was reported. And, you know, I can't speak to others' reports and how they might have jumped to some conclusions or assumed some things, but I can tell you that I'm really proud of the way that was covered by you and Colton and everybody else that was involved, Brian as well. And now it's clear and it's out there and they've moved on from it. So I think everybody else needs to move on as well. Levitt and Ebner need to go have a big game this weekend. They need to play hard, play tough, and be there for their teammates and vice versa. But I'm glad that it seems as though that's kind of in the past now. And, you know, the biggest overriding theme of today for me was just how much they were talking about how good yesterday's practice was. And they all echoed of, you know, the feeling of what it was like to actually have a full offensive line and to actually have a full roster of people available. I think we've maybe not, even though we've talked about it, put enough weight on just how much the disruption of who's available and who's not, how much of an effect that's really had on this team.
Yeah, no, and here's the thing. If the players inside that program or coaches can say, okay, we're done, we're moving on, then that means why can't you? And now if Ebner and Lovett go out and have a poor game or things change, then, and I don't think that's going to happen. They don't have very many poor games unless they don't get many touches, which might have led to what happened on Sunday. Now, the other part of this is they're playing TCU. That game's played at 2:30. They're a team with their backs against the wall, and usually a Gary Patterson team. Remember 2 years ago? Was it 2 years ago? No, it was, 2 years ago. Baylor was coming off a nice win. Maybe it was against somebody, and it looked like that TCU was dead in the water. They can beat TCU at home. They were crippled, and then their quarterback went out. Of course, Jalen Reagor had a big game. So TCU's kind of have their backs are against the wall. Yeah. This is two teams. Whoever loses, they're done. Not for the year, but any hopes of getting back in it, whether it's legitimate or not, after this weekend, one of those two are done.
Yeah, it's an elimination game.
And we saw what happened 2 years ago. Gary Patterson came in here with a crippled team and won the game somehow.
Yeah, and it looks pretty similar. Both these teams are in similar spots in that they're not playing well on offense, and the defenses are fine. They're fine. They're probably not as good as they should be or will be, especially if they get to play some games at full strength. But they have different problems on offense. On Baylor, it just hasn't played this offense with all these people all together. And TCU's problem is that quarterback they don't have a great offensive line, which I guess is similar. But at quarterback, Max Duggan's kind of in his feelings a little bit. He's too emotional, and they've had to calm him down a couple times. And that's not what you want from a player that's as skilled as he is. You want him to have a steady hand.
They won in Austin. They didn't beat Oklahoma at home, and they lost to Iowa State. Isn't that right? That's kind of what's happened to them. Yeah.
Yeah, they lost by 2 in Austin. Could have very well lost that game. They could very well, beat 0-4 right now. I mean, they could be 0-4 right now. They were that close. They have 2 points, the deciding factor in their one win this year. So, yeah, I mean, it would have been interesting to see them play SMU, even though we just watched SMU get beat up pretty good. But, yeah, the close loss to Iowa State. We know Iowa State's a really good team. Close win versus Texas. touchdown loss to K-State, and then they got beat up pretty good by Oklahoma. I was surprised by that. I was surprised that at least their offense couldn't get something going against OU's defense. So this is not a TCU team that scores a lot of points so far this year, and they can give up, 25, 24 plus, get into the 30s potentially. Not that I have a whole lot of faith in Baylor's offense. No disrespect, just being honest, to get to that range. So, we were asked in the mailbag how many points we thought the winner of this game would need to get to. And I put 20 to 21, 3 touchdowns basically. And only 21 just because you might have that 21-20 style of a game. You might need that third touchdown extra point. But I think it's going to be like 20, 21 points for whoever wins this game.
The only reason they got up into some of the numbers or scores last year was because they went, 2 or 3 overtime, whatever it was?
It was overtime. I mean,
and then 2 years ago, it was like watching grass grow.
Last year was, what was the end of regulation, 9-9?
Yeah, yeah.
And then it ended up being like, I need to check that.
Well, it doesn't matter, but it was the overtime is like almost what it did to Texas and OU. It made the score look much higher than but it counts. So, do we have the R.J. Sneed? Do we have that as well? We were discussing Ebner and Lovett. The players have said they've met as a team, individually, whatever. They're moving on. Had the best practice yesterday. Here's R.J. Sneed on the offensive line being back together, which also then leads to what has been one of the questions and discussions this week. Drake told, by the way, Jack and Armstrong here today running the mothership about the ball getting deep and the time to do that.
I believe it helped a lot because I believe up front, like you know who you're next to, you know what you're getting. So as long as they can get that teamwork together and that they're on the same page, I believe that's where it starts. You got to make sure that all 5 guys are on the same page. It's kind of hard when you're switching a different guy every other day because of COVID or something that happened.
Yeah, he's right. I mean, every day. You think about every other day because of COVID.
Yeah, 3 games, 3 different starting lineups, right? Mm-hmm. Some have been out because of COVID, some suspension, some both, some injuries, some productivity. And now this is the part where I ask him about, has he seen or what has he seen the opportunities to go and stretch the field down the field?
Yeah, I just like believe what I just said. I just think it's just tough. You don't have the same line every day. We might not have the same receiver going in, so it's just tough. You're not on the same page, and timing is hard. So I just believe that that's really was the problem. I mean, can't really say anything else because it's kind of hard. You don't really know where it's really coming from, though. It could be a whole different thing this week after we play. It could be like, we had everybody, but maybe it was just the receiver. So it's kind of hard to figure out where it's coming from. It can be frustrating, but I don't let it get to me. I just believe that when it's going to happen, it's going to happen. So as soon as it happens, I believe that that's the start for it.
All right, so that's that. That's Dylan Doyle. That's Terrell Bernard, and also with R.J. Sneed as well. Let's get through a couple. You guys comment on that as you want. Wisconsin cancels their game with Nebraska. Their quarterback, we heard, had COVID, 21 days, and now all of a sudden, I think their head coach, is that right, Paul Christ? Mm-hmm. He tested positive. They shut everything down. Now, I just saw Adam Rittenberg here on ESPN. For those wondering if Nebraska should have to forfeit, or no, if Wisconsin should have to forfeit, hell yeah, they should. I'm told the Big Ten ADs voted unanimously that if the school determines it cannot play because of a team positivity rates, game will be declared a no contest. That was the only way Nebraska could win, with a forfeit against Wisconsin. And they have no off dates, and they can only look in the mirror of why they don't have any days off, like Baylor and Oklahoma State moved back to December.
Yeah, all it can take was one of these incidents, and they were going to lose games. And Wisconsin might lose multiple games if they can't, rein it in within the next week. Because
in high school football, it's different. It's been different, right? There've been teams that have had to forfeit.
Yeah, they've had to forfeit, but it's 6 players, 6 staff members at last count for Wisconsin, I believe. The biggest amongst those players, obviously, their quarterback, Graham Mertz, who had a sensational game in his big debut last Saturday. And so to turn around, you talk about highs and lows from performing like that and finally getting to play to then being shut down for 3 weeks. In his case, being a positive test, that's tough, but yeah, I mean, hey, Big Ten starts playing football, this is going to happen. This is what the Big 12's been dealing with. This is what Baylor's dealt with. This is what the SEC's been dealing with. So this is going to happen in the Big Ten. And when the Pac-12 gets started, it's going to happen there too.
The number to call on what you've heard from Terrell Bernard and Dylan Doyle, was that enough for you? Is everything now cleaned up and moved on? Your thoughts about the R.J. Sneed and players saying that they had their best practice yesterday. That doesn't surprise me. Coming off a tough loss back home, You have this cold weather, even though they have the indoor. You've had a little drama. Hey, it's time. Let's go, right? And that doesn't mean that they couldn't have experienced some of the same problems this week. 254-339-1122, your thoughts about that. Speaking of COVID, because of that, high school schedules, we've had games this week on Monday. We've had games on Tuesday. And tonight, La Vega plays Alvarado. And there's a chance that Ira Rawls is back, Ira Rawls is back as the quarterback at La Vega. Remember, he broke his arm in that game with Conley in week 2. Doesn't mean he's going to play tonight, but I think he's been clear. There is a chance he gets back. Jordan Rodgers has done what he could in his absence as well. Now, Baylor basketball. They released the All Big 12 team today. Tomorrow will be the preseason poll. But Jared Butler named preseason player of the year. Maceo Teague and Mark Vital on the preseason team as an honorable mention pick. I saw some chatter and frustration that Davion Mitchell wasn't included or others. There's, again, 10 teams, and you could only have so many spots, although obviously now Davion Mitchell can maybe put that on his door, when he walks in every day.
It's also not...
You can't have everybody on the team, although I could see the argument for him.
It's a little deeper than the women's Big 12. In that the players that you're going to pick. I mean, obviously, the Baylor women have run away with the conference for so long. I think maybe now that the men have a team that's stacked full of players, you want to apply the same logic if you're a Baylor fan. Well, you can't. The league's deeper. I mean, there's still, Kansas is still in the league and Kansas State. I mean, they've good team. Iowa State.
Baylor, Kansas, Oklahoma State, Texas, and West Virginia had the 6 players on the first team. Mm-hmm. Right? 5 guards and a forward. Matt Coleman III, Jared Butler, Marcus Garrett, Cade Cunningham, Austin Reeves, and Oscar Stavibi. And I think I got that right. I feel bad that I don't have that one. All right, so and then also this, Craig, the university games, the World University Games. Baylor's going to be a part of that.
Yeah, and next year in China. Let's see. That's a great announcement. I'll remains to be seen on whether or not that actually happens because – I mean, who the heck knows, quite frankly, but just assuming that it does happen, that'll be a great opportunity for the guys on the team next year, a great cultural experience, I'm sure, and not really all that often you get a trip to China, so I'm sure that'll be a cool deal for them. Again, I'm not going to hold my breath until then on whether or not they actually do play in that, but that's a nice honor, and you have to be, I assume, selected and chosen to be the team that travels to play there, so that means a great deal for those who thought Baylor was worthy of that.
We need you to go do a road trip, to go scout our location.
If it was Japan, I would definitely do it.
No, I would too. I'd go to Japan in a heartbeat. But, Paul, we need you to go to China, Wuhan, or whatever it is.
You can go to China.
Go check to see where we're going to broadcast from. A couple of sites overlooking their laboratories.
See, that piques my interest. I think that would be interesting, but I just also have a lot of questions about that country.
Here's the thing. I would love to go to China. I've always wanted to go to China.
Right.
I'm a little worried because I have not said, especially when we talk about LeBron James and the NBA and Daryl Morey, I have not said flattering things about China, and I'm pretty sure that they know that.
Yeah,
I mean, they don't care right now.
They not only know what you've said, they know what you're about to say.
Yeah, so they know it.
Okay.
And I'm not going there now, but if I was going to go there in the future, then it would pop up.
Yeah, it's a great deal. Whether it happens because of the whatever pandemic, whatever it is by the time, that's not until August of next year. Here's Scott Drew and Jared Butler, and we'll get to your calls right after this on the opportunity to play in the World University Games next summer.
Oh, it's huge. I mean, that's a tremendous honor, and very few get selected ever to represent the United States and chance to play for a gold medal, and obviously the educational facet of learning a different culture.
Oh, that's an extremely huge honor. It's pretty cool to think about that they chose us, Baylor, as a representative. I think, we're the right school for it. I think we have the great guys. We're going to represent ourselves in a great fashion, and I think it's going to be an opportunity for us to learn about the culture in China. And, it seems like a pretty great idea for me.
All right, so that's Scott Drew, Jared Butler, Dylan Doyle, Terrell Bernard, and also R.J. Sneed for you in this opening segment. 254-339-1122. Let me get set up the show today. Shane Anderson from Conley, Don Hyde, La Vega. They play tonight, not Conley, but La Vega. That's in this hour. At 4 o'clock today, A little bit after 4 o'clock, Bremont quarterback Seth Kozlowski, a story about how he almost didn't make it out of life in 3rd grade. And now Bremont has March Saturday night. Also today, we will hear from John Machota at 5, Football Bob at 5:30, and I'm going Owen Buchanan, TexAgs.com today at 4:45, among some others.
And Jarrell Broxton in the next
segment.
segment.
Jarrell Broxton will join us, a former Baylor offensive lineman, coming up in the very next segment. His thoughts about the continuity, cohesiveness, chemistry of the offensive line. All right, let's go to the phone calls.
I don't know what's going to happen here because we never do, but as always, thanks for your call. T-Rex, you're on SicEm365 Radio.
Hey, good afternoon to the number one premier Baylor sports talk radio show and fan forum. In case anyone has any doubt about that, I'll go ahead and lay that out there. The number one fan forum is SicEm365, number one source for all things Baylor. Go to my grave on that one. Anyways, I digress. Your question a little bit ago was, do we move forward? Are we satisfied with the players' opinion? Hell yeah, I'm satisfied. I was satisfied when I walked out of DKR Royal Stadium that we were going to kick the hell out of TCU. Because guess what? We're moving forward, and the players are ready to go. They had the best practice they've had all year. We have a full O-line. I'll be the first person to say I criticize everything when we're not winning. But, hey, I'm ready to rock and roll for TCU. So if anybody's not satisfied, well, then they're never going to be satisfied. Come Saturday, 2 o'clock, 2:30, whatever time it is, Halloween, get spooky, let's beat TCU, and let's move forward. Second point, and my only other point, playing basketball in China, right? Craziness, COVID, everything else. All I want to know is I get married in May. How do I convince my fiance to postpone my honeymoon until China? And we go to China in August.
Well,
for our honeymoon. So if anybody has an idea on that, let me know. I'll hang up.
You'll find out about the commitment right there if you bring up China in August and you have to postpone it to football season, because we know you're not getting married in football season. That's always a debate. That's always a discussion for people of whether or not you should ever get married.
Is it much of a discussion for people, or do the wives just kind of choose, like, I don't care what you think?
Yeah, we're getting married in September. I don't care if you're hosting Texas or.
I've been to a couple in my life where it has been during football season, and there's a TV at the reception. Well, guess what? Nobody's going to dance. Like, people are just going to walk out. And watch
that's
it.
true. There's a couple of Cowboys notes that we want to get to. By the way, in that I was surprised on the men's basketball. Marcus Santos Silva is the transfer, I think, for Texas Tech, who's the preseason newcomer of the year. What about the kid from? Is it Greg Brown, the big, tall freshman that comes in that's supposed to be a one-and-done guy for Texas?
Yeah, the 5-star. I don't know. I don't know what
that says quite a bit about what they think. Of course, Santos Silva is a transfer.
Well, thoughts on what T-Rex had to say there.
Yeah.
As far as, he wasn't worried after the Texas game. I was, honestly, in the immediate aftermath of that. But I'll tell you, like I kind of said the last couple of days, I guess, after that game, my thoughts were like, man, this is very reminiscent of 1-11 in some ways. Not that the team is at that level, nor are they a 1-11 type of football team, but just kind of everything feeling so out of sorts and kind of funky and not quite cohesive. And I think that's something that will come with time. I think that there is a chance this Lovett Ebner saga, which is not much of a saga, it was more of a 24 hours of drama. I think that is something that can bring this team closer together and should bring this team closer together. They've still got the world by the tail. They can't go play for a national championship, obviously, with 2 losses already, but they can still, compete and win some games and disrupt the apple cart and do all of those things and build for next year. So I think everybody should be fired up. They've got another opportunity to play, and you just hope that they play well on Saturday.
Congratulations to Max Muncy. And the Dodgers, they win their first world title since 1988. It was dicey, and what a decision by Kevin Cash. We need to break that down. I don't know if we have enough time to do it now. Do we? Jarrell Broxton coming up in the next segment.
I'll give a teaser. It was not a good decision.
It got him to the point, but the way he managed and the way Tampa managed all year long got him in that position to be in Game 6 of the World Series. But you have to sometimes back away from analytics or even gut feelings that might have gotten you in that position that aren't analytics. Sometimes you just have to look at what's going on and go, they're not hitting him. Mookie Betts, do you know what he said in the postgame? Did you watch it on Fox? What was his thoughts when he saw that he was coming out? I have a chance now. That's what he said, that I have a chance now. Think about that I have a chance now. So the Dodgers win it. And Max Muncy has himself a ring. It's a great story. He's a major part of what the Dodgers are doing. Paul?
Yeah, we do have a call coming in. I'm waiting to see who it is because it says unknown right now. So do you just want to take it on the fly?
You know what? I don't know how many of you are getting these. I'm getting them from both sides of the aisle. These random text messages about voting and congressmen and president.
Now they care about you when they need your votes.
Yeah, within a week of the presidential election, but it's interesting. Paul, anybody yet?
It's processing the audio. But yeah, I've sent a couple of just back, like already voted. Like,
well, now you're hooked in.
I'll say, I've already voted, please take me off your list. Would you help us spread the word? Like, I don't want to be on your list. You think I want to help you?
Yeah, it's weird because I finally got to stop getting...
We have sent you several notifications on extending your car's warranty.
Car warranty.
Spam call.
You know, I actually fell for that one time. Yeah. I did. I fell for that one time. I have to tell you.
That is annoying, though, that, we're told how much we matter and told how much we care only at certain times. And then it's very obvious that 99% of the rest of the time that we don't matter, no one cares at all. They're just batting in their pockets.
Cowboys owner today, Cowboys today, remember, Everson Griffin traded yesterday. Now, Don Terry Poe and Darryl Worley basically just let go. No one had any interest in him, or at least not for what they wanted to give. And so they're gone. That's the cleansing continues.
Okay. He's not good.
Between Clinton Dix, Worley, Poe, Gerald McCoy, and Everson Griffin, that's pretty much their free agent haul. That's $20 million of guaranteed money this year that's not on the roster.
Yeah, I know. Coming up, Jarrell Broxton, he played on some pretty darn good, really good Baylor football teams back in the time when they were winning Big 12 titles. He was a part of that 15 team that was so close to being great. We'll come back with him, and then we'll have high school coaches, Conley and LaVega. Down the road a little bit later on today, we'll hear from Scott Drew and Jared Butler a little bit more. And then Seth Kozowski, Bremont quarterback, and his story about how he almost didn't make it out of third grade. But he and Bremont and Mart are playing Saturday in the district championship game. Mart's the favorite, no question, but that game is on Saturday. This is SicEm365 Radio. All right, there's a picture here. Waco Custom Marketplace. Items of the week. Are you cold? Are you freezing cold? And look at the pictures of these pies. Oh, my goodness. Look like a chocolate silk pie. That looked like a lemon meringue. That's a pumpkin pie with a bunch of whipped cream all over it. A lemon pie. But in the middle of all that, Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive, for the cold temperatures. Stew meat, $5.50 a pound. Chuck roast for $4.75 a pound. Put that in the oven with potatoes and carrots and whatever else. An entire whole chicken for 89 cents a pound. Maple breakfast sausage for a warm breakfast for $2.50 a pound. Also, Texas cornbread mix. I tried to make some of that for Craig the other day, and I burned the hell out of it. Texas Trail chili mix. Chili verde mix. Ziegenbach 6-pack. Firewood bundle. It's time for that. Fire logs, chocolate cream pie, and much, much more in this cold week in Central Texas and around the state and around the country. Waco Custom Marketplace can also be where you order your tailgate product, whatever it is, tri-tip, brisket, sausage, chicken, whatever. They have that as well. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
How can we help you? That's a question we ask every day at American Bank. Hi, I'm President and CEO Dana Hassel. Our commitment to our customers is what drives us. It's why we've invested in new branch buildings and technology like ITMs that let you speak to a teller face-to-face from your car. It's why we work with local businesses, helping Waco grow and thrive. And it's why decisions about your accounts and loans are made here in Waco by people who know you. How can we help you? Find out at American Bank, member FDIC.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T as board-certified physician consultations will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 on Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
Texas board-certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recalled drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com, principal office in Houston, Texas.
Have you tried a do-it-yourself program to lose weight? You may not know that in a typical do-it-yourself program, a quarter of the weight you lose is due to muscle breakdown and loss. With COVID harming obese and overweight patients, being at ideal body weight is more important now than ever. Over 30 physicians in Central Texas, tired of seeing patients fail at losing weight themselves, opened MuscleWise Nutrition. This is a coach-managed weight loss program that targets fat and spares muscle. The 4 MuscleWise locations have taken off over 19,000 pounds from Texas dieters in the last few years. The combination of coaching and weekly body composition analysis to target the fat loss are the keys to success. The coaches teach you how to eat and live a healthy lifestyle. Email SicEm365 at MuscleWiseNutrition.com today, and the coaches will contact you about their free educational seminars. Do not wait. Email today and start MuscleWise at SicEm365 at MuscleWiseNutrition.com.
Central Texas traditions run deep, all the way to the vehicles we drive. That's why folks trust Alan Samuels. During Alan Samuels Jeep Adventure Days, get employee pricing for all on new 2020 Gladiator Sport and no payments for 90 days. Plus, the tougher-than-nails 2020 Jeep Renegade, 0 for 72, no payments for 90 days, or up to $6,250 in cash and subprime offers. Trusted. That's Alan Samuels, your friend in the car business.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
This segment on Baylor Athletics on SicEm365 Radio is brought to you by Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, located at the Imperial Drive exit off Loop 340 in Waco. Proud supporters of all Baylor Athletics.
You know, Baylor, in the time they were running early on in the decade of 2000 to 2000 and the time 2010, 2 Big 12 titles, winning bowl games. Yeah, there were some heartbreakers along the way as well. They almost in 2015 made a peak at the national title, just like they did in 14. But they had some grown men on the offensive line, some that were recruited, some of them were recruited that were transfers, junior college, and others. One of them, Jarrell Broxton, joins us from Maryland and joins us on SicEm365 Radio. You were there for those 2 years, Jarrell, and you were there during some quality football at Baylor, the Big 12 title in 14, and then that team that was so close in 15. Can you try to explain the cohesiveness, snaps, and practice that you had compared to the team this year that's had very few opportunities to gain any chemistry right now?
Well, first and foremost, coming out of junior college, it was already different coming into a Division I program. But it was love from the second I stepped in with the O-line. I had guys that were in front of me because I had to earn a spot, helping me with plays, telling me what to expect. And practice was the same routine, and I think it transitioned to the game very well, especially with Coach Clem. I think he's one of the best O-line coaches in the nation. So I think learning from him and learning from guys like Spencer Durango, Pat Colbert, Dad Tilliard, and everybody else, Kyle Fuller, it was just a great experience, and we had a great bond, and we usually would try to do things during the week as an O-line for like camaraderie.
Go ahead,
Jarrell. What was it about Randy Clements that made him such a good offensive line coach? What was his style, and how would you compare him to others? Being why he was so good at what he did.
He was always straightforward with it, and he was big on repetition and being just a perfectionist. And it was always the same thing in practice. In film, he's always on you about your technique and what things you need to fix. And I think he doesn't individualize everybody. I think he just, as a unit, keeps everybody in mold and wanting to work together. And he's just a great guy outside of football as well. And he treats us with respect. He loves us all and loves all the guys that he coached. I think, yeah, go ahead.
Was that Russell Athletic Bowl kind of the orchestra, the opus of everything that you guys did with Randy Clements and the offensive line, being able to line up in the wild bear with no quarterback and just knock those fools back all night long?
We knew going into that game what we had to do, because that year it was good and it was bad. Seeing it, you know how we was number 2 in the country at one point, and then that same time we was number 2, our starting quarterback gets hurt, and then 2 games later, our second string gets hurt. So then I think with the guys around us, it just helped out. And then I think we had a healthy O-line at the time as well. So with everyone being healthy, going in, playing, we were very confident going into that game that we were going to control the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, that was crazy good. What was it, like 600 yards? Johnny Jefferson, that was the peak of his. Jarrell's laughing because it's so true. Yeah. I mean, you beat them up. It reminded me in a way of the 2012 team that ended very well when they went to play on the West Coast in what was it, the Holiday Bowl. It was the Holiday Bowl in San Diego and ran all over UCLA. I just pounded them. Very similar, one coast, and this one was on the East Coast. What was it like at that time when you were on teams that were so dominant? You guys knew how good you were. It was so close. So you're like a win or 2 away in those 2 years from playing in the tournament.
It was bittersweet, very bittersweet, because we knew what we had. Even with my first year playing with Bryce Petty, that was a great year. We won a Big 12 championship. Unfortunately, lost in the Cotton Bowl by 1 point because of a blocked field goal or something. And then the next year, having Steph there, we were undefeated halfway through the season. It's just, as a senior, when you expect to be in the national championship knowing you have the team for it and it just doesn't go your way during the season, it sucks. But winning that bowl game was just like the stamp on it. Like, I can end my year with a win in a bowl game against a different conference opponent.
Was that, I know that we talked about how dominant it was, but it had to feel at least relief knowing that you could prove to people that, look, this is still a team that can dominate people, even though, knowing that we didn't have the quarterback that could have put us in the playoff.
Having great coaches and just adjusting to what we have, using running backs as quarterbacks and a wildcat, having fake runs, throw tight ends. It was great to see and just being a part of it as well. But winning that bowl game was very big for us seniors to win that game, leaving Baylor knowing that we belonged. We're in the playoffs.
What was that like when Seth went down?
I didn't even know he was hurt. He came out the game and they said, I came up to the sideline saying that he was hurt. I didn't know what it was. They were saying like concussion because they didn't know. And then finding out, it's just like, it was a blower to the season because he started off very hot. He had like 2,000 something yards already. And I think it was like game 5 or 6. And I think he had a Heisman year, honestly, in my opinion. And I think losing our leader, it's a big adjustment, and it was a big blow, and it showed. But I think we had the guys that stepped up. I think Stidham did very well before his injury, and I think Chris Johnson did good as well.
Jarrell, your career, obviously, it's not over because you still have some opportunities, but COVID has kind of interrupted some things because of some of the leagues that were trying to get started. Some went belly up, and now there's another one. And then also, you've had to deal with this injury, a torn labrum. Is that from an old injury, or is that because you shared that with me yesterday. When did that happen? How did it happen? And is it kind of something that you maybe had to clean up anyway?
I think it was just a lingering thing. Because I played in the AFL, and I just, I guess when it happened, I just adjusted to it. I took an ibuprofen before games and just fought through it because I haven't played and like a whole year before playing the AFL. And then, I mean, I just got it checked out just on some downtime. And then that was the case. And then I was thinking, let me get this done since I'm not having a season. But it's going very well right now. I should be cleared around late November, December. But I'm still playing, yeah. COVID did interrupt some things, but I think it's just a blessing in disguise. And I think it just gives me more time to train and get better and work on my craft.
Are you still with Winnipeg?
They actually released me 2 weeks before being canceled, but I was talking to like the team rep, and he was just telling me, hey, if we get canceled this season, we'll probably hit you back up and sign you for next season. But I plan on doing that or doing the spring league in the spring. I think the spring league is something different this year.
Yeah, most definitely. What's life in Canada like? What's it like playing that style of football?
That would have been my first year playing in the CFL.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I've never been to Canada. It would have been exciting. I had some friends that play in the CFL. I've asked them about like how's everything, how's it up there. They said it's good, it's different. It's way different from how NFL is, their regular routine. But it's football at the end of the day, and it's something I was looking forward to. I think I still look forward to. So can't wait to see what's next for me.
Well, Jarrell, yeah, and we can't either, man. But I guess it's good. You know, The Rock takes over the XFL now, and they're going to relaunch. And you got the Spring League and the Canadian Football League. I guess, you know, if someone's in your position, and certainly there are hundreds and there are thousands of guys that are on any given year, it's good to have options at least, right?
Yeah, definitely. That's really a good thing for guys in my position. If you were an undrafted free agent and you get released after the preseason, there's more to it to get back to camp in the NFL. So CFL, spring leagues, and all these other football things, XFLs, you can get the film to get back to where you want to be to keep pursuing that dream.
Yeah. By the way, Willie Jefferson, who's at Baylor for a little while, is on the Blue Bombers. So if you do get to go back there, there'll be a former Baylor guy there. So
with the Stephen F. Boston, he left Baylor and then eventually was at Stephen F. Boston. You know, sometimes we just take for granted the transfer. Of course, now, my goodness, Jarrell, you know how I just saw a story, a guy from Missouri is going to be in the transfer portal. It's almost like breathing. But a lot of times people just take it for granted it's easy. You go play JUCO football. I was a junior college guy, only because I didn't know really where I wanted to go. I had just come back. My father had just been stationed 4 years in Japan, came back to Texas, had no idea where I wanted to go. I went junior college, not because of athletics, believe me. However, sometimes it's not always that simple, but you said the day you walked on campus, it was pretty comfortable, huh?
It was the transition from junior college. I feel like from junior college, it's more of like, you have to deal with what you have. Like, you're not privileged with the stuff that you get when you go somewhere on a full scholarship in a D1 program. So it was very humbling because coming out of high school, I wasn't really highly recruited at all. So junior college was my route. And then it was focusing there because you see a lot of guys go and you see a lot of guys come in and go all the time just because it's the mental part of being there and what you have around you. Like, there wasn't much around, but the coaching staff at my junior college that I went to, it was all love. Like, I still talk to those guys today, and I just feel like when I came to Baylor, it was, you know what I mean, it's just more to do, and it's just a better atmosphere, and the guys, it was all love when I came in, so it was never like a hate thing or, oh, he hasn't been here when we were hustling doing it. It was always just love, and it was a great thing being in that program.
When did you actually have your surgery for the torn labrum?
In August.
Oh, so you're just a couple of months by. You have to. Yeah. I'm not trying to compare mine to yours. I had rotator cuff 5 years ago, and I'm telling you right now, you know this. Everything that's tedious is as important as anything you do, right? When it comes to physical therapy.
Yes.
Every single movement.
Every movement. It's like when you don't have an injury, and then when you injure something, you like don't take it for granted after anymore because you see how important the shoulder is after having the surgery and what you have to do and how the shoulder blades is a big part of the shoulder, like the socket and all the muscles around of the like injury you had. So I go into therapy, do what I have to do. I'm supposed to be scheduled for an hour. I'm here for 2 hours and a half because of the extra stuff that they put me through. Because I told them my situation of what I'm trying to get back into doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I do stuff outside of the days I'm not there, go to the gym, do the things that I do in therapy and do it in the gym. So I just get the extra work in. So just to help my recovery. So
good for you, man.
Yeah, it's definitely something I take seriously. I know a lot about injuries, and if I get injured, I try to take the injury and the PT like if it's my job. So I won't miss a day ever, even if I'm sick or anything. Like I'll still go in and try to get something done.
What do you think of Baylor right now, Dave Aranda? I know it's been a rough start, but I saw that you tweeted, Baylor game day on Saturday. What do you like? What do you like about what they're doing right now?
I like that there's guys out there that want to be better, and I think that they're trying to still follow the tradition of Baylor football. And I know it's been it's a rebuilding year because of the new coaching, and that's how it's been ever since I left. It's just been a rebuilding, but I think everything will get better with time. But I think they're on the right track. I still think they're going to have a winning season, even though, you know what I mean, they just got to put the pieces together. But I'm still excited. Every year of Baylor football, I'm tuned in. I still want to go to a game. I haven't been down there since 2016, since I graduated. But I was looking forward to the win against Texas, of course. I'm not a big Texas fan. But
Hey, join the club, Jarrell. Join the club, man. We've got plenty of people part of that club. Yeah, you definitely need to make it down when you get a chance to, when maybe things calm down a little bit. But one of the things they've been dealing with, they had the great year last year, get to the Sugar Bowl, playing the Big 12 title game, and fall just short. And then they had the coaching change again. But Jarrell, because of the COVID protocols and all that, they've had a different lineup on the offensive line for every single game this year. They've had every single week different guys missing on the O-line or missing at that position. Can you begin to kind of explain for folks how difficult it is to build cohesiveness in that unit in particular, the O-line, when every week it's a new shuffling of bodies, and not because of just practicing, but because of guys being held out, because of being sick and all that? I mean, how difficult is that to do?
I think that's very difficult because with the O-line, if you remember when I was there, all of us on that line had a good relationship, and we all trusted each other no matter what. And we all knew the playbook. So I think it really comes down to knowing the plays, trusting the guy next to you, and then just having people trusting you that, you got to be confident going into the game, knowing the game plan, and just studying film. But if you keep, I think, switching it up, how do you know that starting center trusts that new right guard that came in?
Right.
I mean, I'm not there to know, but that could be something like, because I know when I first had my first start, it was kind of rough, like still trying to learn the plays and getting used to playing in a big crowd. But it's just something to adjust to. I think the best thing to do is when you're in practice is playing with the ones. I think that's when I learned the most, is getting reps with the ones because they get the most reps. And it just shows you a bigger picture. But it's definitely a hard thing, switching up people in the O-line, because you want to have a solid group that's, that all trust each other, that's all instinct.
Jarrell, it's been great, man. I'm glad we got a chance to visit with you. Anything else, guys?
No, I think that's good. And yeah. I was going to ask him too about just, the switching up is one thing, but when you're not getting those reps because you can't practice because you're in quarantine for 2 weeks and all that, yeah. Those reps are highly important. So hopefully they get to, stay free and clear and get those reps in the next few weeks.
I hope so.
Yeah, Jarrell, be good. Take care of yourself. Good luck. Hopefully at the start of the year, things open up for you as well. Great to talk to you, man. It's been fun. Really is, and sharing and reminiscing with you. Yeah.
It was a pleasure. I appreciate you guys having me.
Really do. You as well. Jarrell Broxton out of Maryland, from Gettysburg, Maryland, joined us on SicEm365 Radio. Thanks for his time. Really enjoyed just a short conversation I had with him to set it up as we continue to go back. Ron Francis, former great defensive back, among those great years back in the Grant Taft years. He'll join us. James was a part of yesterday's show. And Mike Hicks, China Spring great, Baylor, he's the one that sealed the game in 2011 when they beat TCU at home, when they started launching those big fades early on to beat Gary Patterson's young defense, and then Hicks had to, pick off a pass at the end to seal the game. And Phil Bennett has talked about he was the glue in the straw that stirred that defense drink. And he was out, wasn't he? The one out against West Virginia in that crazy game, 70-63. This is SicEm365 Radio. Shane Anderson on China Spring and Don Hyde from La Vega on tonight's game with Alvarado, next on SicEm365 Radio. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat. Every once in a while, I bought my new car back in, or my pre-owned, I bought it back in May. And every once in a while, just randomly, but because he cares, AJ will send me a text. Hey, how's it going? Appreciate your time. He doesn't sometimes realize that I bought the car. It took me 20 years before I decided to buy a car, right? Because I had one with all those miles on it. But AJ is fantastic. And he continues to check in on me. He heard me one time talking about like my tire earlier this week. He didn't hear this part, I don't think, but my tire earlier, maybe it was yesterday, my left tire that came on and said it's a little bit low. It's because it's cold as hell, and so sometimes tires get a little bit low. He said, come by, let us take care of it. He's always monitoring how I'm doing, and he's sold cars everywhere to everybody. That's the kind of customer service you get when you buy something at Alan Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat. Also right now, specials including Jeep Adventure Days. Get employee pricing for all the Gladiator Sport. No payments for 90 days. The Jeep Renegade, tougher than nails. 0% for 72 months. No payments for 90 days. Or if you want, $6,250 in cash and subprime offers in the Lone Star Crew Cab, 2020 Ram, Hemi or Eco Diesel, 0% for 72 months. No payments for 90 days. Or choose $9,250 in cash and incentives. That is what they have loaded up on the inventory on their dealership premises. And of course, inside, very smart about being clean, disinfected, and making sure they tend to handle what you're supposed to handle right now during these days. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, specializing in diagnosis and treatment of any and all sport-related injuries, celebrating over a decade of service to Central Texas. They tackle all surgical and non-surgical problems that arise from an active lifestyle. Trust the doctors that Baylor trusts, and when injuries sideline you, don't wait for Monday. Join us at 8:30 on Saturday mornings for a post-game injury evaluation clinic. Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. We get you back in the game.
Bird Culture Ford has been in Waco since 1936. Ford, the #1 selling truck in Texas, 43 years running. And Bird Culture Ford proudly supports high school football in Central Texas. And no better way to tailgate with a Ford than from Bird Culture Ford. And are there better vehicles to tailgate with than the Ford F-150 or the Ford Expedition? And of course, you can get them new pre-owned Bird Culture Ford. Our sponsor of the Ford Tough Player of the Week, locally owned dealership. Online at bkford.com at 1701 West Loop 340 in Waco. Bird Culture Ford.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance in McLennan County takes pride in backing Central Texas football. Our agents would like to help with your insurance needs. Call 254-772-8090 for an agent near you.
Hi, this is Conley football coach Shane Anderson. I'm a proud listener and supporter of the all-new SicEm365 radio show with David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
This segment with Connolly Cadets football coach Shane Anderson is sponsored by Masonic Construction, Sturdy Steel, American Bank, Graham Properties, Richard Carr Motors, Parsons Roofing, First Central Credit Union, Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, Southwest Sports Medicine.
Well, you do all of what you do, the constant back and forth throughout the spring and summer, the workouts in August, and here you are. It's not for a district championship, but it's a huge part of being seeded for the postseason and also a rival in China Spring.
Yeah, it's gone really fast, and our kids have done a great job of handling all the adversity and the back and forth that we've had to go through with all the COVID stuff, and our coaching staff has done a great job with all the protocols, and and we've had some ups and downs. We've handled some adversity throughout the year, and here we are, last regular season game with some implications on the line, and with the opportunity to get a better seed in the playoffs, and that's all you can ask for.
Gageville obviously is struggling, but do you feel like maybe on Friday when you won that game that was as engaged and focused and sharp as you've been all year?
Yeah, I think so. The thing that we keep talking about with our kids and with our program is, this is the time you want to be playing your best football. And, we're going to starting last week, we were trying to treat each and every day just like a playoff type atmosphere and, win or go home type atmosphere. Even though, if we're not successful this Friday night, we don't have to go home. We still got another week to play in the playoffs. But at the same time, you want that mentality to start setting in. You want practices to start being a little bit more important, and you want each and every day. And then, and the thing that we keep telling our kids is just everything you have to pay attention to detail with everything you do this time of year.
The weather has changed. It's cold, it's nasty, it's damp, it's wet. It's kind of a playoff feel too, isn't it?
Yeah, no doubt. And we practice in the mornings, and so our kids have been coming in at 6:30 in the morning, and we're on the grass at 6:50, and the last couple of days have been really, really cold, but we passed the sweats out. On Sunday, we distributed the sweats, and put it in their lockers. And on Monday morning, they had sweats, and our kids have handled it. They've been in the playoffs. They've practiced in cold weather. They've played in cold weather, so they know what it's about. And and then that in itself just rejuvenates you and just puts a little bit extra spark in your step.
Did you send a message with how you threw the ball on Friday with Kavion and obviously a couple of touchdowns? I mean, the throw to Parrish, it seemed like it got a little bit more efficient.
Yeah, we've been working hard on it, and to be honest with you, it's almost like the games that we've had in hand, we didn't have to throw it, and then you look back and probably wish you would have threw it more to be able to throw it in the games that you needed to throw it, and so it's kind of a catch-22. The thing about it is KG's done a great job running our offense the last 2 years, and whatever we need to do to try to win the football game, we're comfortable with him doing, and and so we're going to keep working on it, and hopefully, it doesn't come down to that, but if it does, hopefully we can execute it.
Hi, this is La Vega head football coach Don Hyde, and you're listening to SicEm365 Radio with David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke. This is your home for the best high school football coverage in Texas.
This segment with La Vega Pirates football coach Don Hyde is sponsored by American Bank, Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, Southwest Sports Medicine.
This craziness continues of 2020. I know it was a tough loss to Heritage, and you mentioned how good that they were, and obviously they were very good. But, hey, you got to turn right around. You have Alvarado tonight. Your thoughts about the quick turnaround, and is it almost a good thing following a loss that you're playing pretty quickly?
Well, I mean, I don't know that it's a good thing. I mean, it's a good way to get kids' minds off of it. I know that. I mean, they're just, as far as preparation and all that, it's kind of onerous on you as a coach and as a kid, and you got to change things around. Kids are creatures of habit, and so anytime you start changing things around, you're worried about it in a sense. So we've had 2 good days of preparation, and I think we're ready to go.
What happened against Heritage? Did it just get away from you? What happened there?
We lost one of our offensive weapons in the first half with a tweaked hamstring.
That was La Vega coach Don Hyde, and I'm not sure what happened on that break there, Armstrong. I mixed it down fully. Maybe it clipped when I was loading it. But when we come back, we'll get more from Scott Drew and Jared Butler, plus much more on Baylor football. This is SicEm365 Radio. Bird Culchin Ford, locally owned, been in Waco a long time, and when you're talking about trucks, you want to talk about the Ford F-150 at Bird Culchin Ford, the number one truck in Texas. They're going to make you a great deal, and again, locally owned, locally run. That's what you want when you're looking for a new car, is a local dealership that's going to make you a deal. What better way to tailgate than a truck from Bird Culchin Ford? And they're going to make great deals. Great month to do it here in October. Going out there right now, they're one of our sponsors of the Ford Built Tough Player of the Week. So you can hear that every week here on SicEm365 Radio. And they're a great sponsor of high school football, Bird Culchin Ford.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jeweler, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. And this football season, you need to stop by on game day for curbside pickup or stop by their tent next to SicEm365 at Brazos Parking for your pregame refreshment. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel & Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel & Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel & Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
This is SicEm365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The SicEm365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
In this hour, we'll hear from Bremont quarterback Seth Kozlowski. They play Mart on Saturday. That schedule's been all like a pretzel. Both Bremont and Mart had big wins on Monday as far as lopsided wins, Bremont against Chilton, and then also Mart beating Wortham 63-0. So they play Saturday. La Vega's playing tonight against Alvarado, coming off the loss to Heritage, and I had Don Hyde, you just heard that. They lost another. That's their third offensive lineman they've lost to knee injuries this year. And then they're just getting Rawls, their quarterback, back. And so they're playing Alvarado. They'll win tonight. The game's at home at Willie Williams Stadium. It should win. And then they turn around and they have a game like Monday. Remember Don Hyde said something to me about, hey, guys, we get to play Monday Night Football, which is what Bremont Mart just did recently. Grossbeck as well with their win against Fairfield. We had Jerry Bomar on the show yesterday. Now back to men's basketball. The women will have, I believe, their preseason team release. I think it's tomorrow. But the men's basketball preseason team, the player of the year, preseason player of the year, no surprise here. There's other guys. Hey, Marcus Garrett's good, and Cade Cunningham and others are really good. Jared Butler from Baylor is the men's preseason player of the year. Baylor and Kansas, you would think tomorrow, we're interested. And, okay, who's going to be the preseason number one pick when they release the actual poll?
I think it's going to be Baylor.
In men's basketball, it's going to be Baylor.
Okay, which is rare. You don't see that much. There's been a few that have kind of jumped ahead, but Kansas, of course, has run the conference as they did.
Well,
until Baylor beat them up in Lawrence badly last year.
They could, but I don't think that they're a setup for what Baylor's set up for. Like Kansas, I think that's an automatic. It's like Oklahoma in football. It's just easy to say that they're going to be the best team and probably win the championship. And I'm sure Kansas will be plenty talented, but I just think that this year is, kind of similar to last year. This is one of those special types of teams. Like, this isn't one that you just have year after year after year. This is one that you get every few years if you're lucky. And Scott Drew's had that team for what we think is going to be a couple of years in a row. I mean, there's obviously some guys to replace and some guys to learn a lot about that we haven't seen a whole lot of. But for the most part, the majority of your parts of your car that was a Ferrari last year are all back. So as long as some newcomers, fill shoes, then they should be right there at the top of the country.
One of the other things about this preseason All Big 12 team, when I saw it released and I saw the immediate thing that fans do, and some of it's legitimate. And, well, I guess that all can be legitimate. Well, how come this guy didn't make it? How come this guy didn't make it? Here's one of the things that they do with the preseason team. Player of the year, newcomer of the year, and freshman of the year can also all be on your first team. There are 6 players. There are 5 guards and a forward on the first team. 6 players. Butler and Garrett were unanimous. But they don't have a second team, so they have either first team or honorable mention, which included Maceo Teague and Mark Vidal. And I saw, some thoughts about Davion Mitchell. I mentioned Greg Brown. He's a part of it. Texas actually has Matt Coleman on the first team and 3 players on honorable mention, which is really the second team. So there's really, and Texas Tech has a couple of guys on the second team. So there's not like first and second and then honorable mention, which means it's tight. It's hard to get on it. It should be. It shouldn't be everybody gets an honor.
Well, it's better than, having, 15 defensive backs on your first team or whatever the deal is. It's, like we see sometimes in football where, there's even teams that have like 2 quarterbacks on the first team or whatever the case may be. So, I'm okay with them making it more of an exclusive type of deal rather than an everyone gets a ribbon type of deal.
All right, are we?
No, I sent too long of a file. Okay, I'm sending the real one right now. It should only take a couple seconds.
Please let me know when we get it. Armstrong, Drake, and Jack are running the mothership. I just took pictures of all of them were taking a nap. Every one of them, I caught them having their Chick-fil-A sandwiches and crashed because their tummies are full. We'll have Seth Kozlowski also in this hour. Olin Buchanan on A&M as they are off the bye week as they get back into action, in fact, this week as well. Now, a couple of – this is not – a Baylor basketball. Got it? Okay, here's Jared Butler, Baylor senior, the guard, preseason player of the year in the Big 12, and expectations of Baylor men's basketball.
Do we like him? Yeah, just because we work hard and we're, just a bunch of people trying to be the best people we can be. And, do we like the recognition? Yeah. Does it mean a whole lot? Does it carry a lot of weight? I don't think so. It's just kind of some paper some things that's written down on paper that don't mean a whole lot. So that's kind of where it stands for me and I think for the rest of the team.
All right, that's Jared Butler. You want it. You want the recognition. You also want to earn it. They have earned it. This is not just because of this and that. They went out last year and earned whatever they have. Now, the thing is when you separate and Scott Drew's teams for now over a decade, other than a year or two, have been really, really good. Really good. And sometimes exceeded expectations. There's been a couple of teams that maybe were a little bit short the year Perry Jones was suspended the day of the Big 12 tournament, and I'm not sure they would have won that game anyway. But for about a decade. The difference, though, and you look at the Blue Bloods like it is in football, they do it every year, and these are the expectations every year, and Baylor's becoming close to that. Well, now what you do is you go out and have this team that's all this recognition and go validate it. Go validate it. Go be 26-4 who you have on schedule. Go win a Big 12 title, whether it's the regular season or the tournament. Go do that. And they are on such the edge. It's kind of like what Baylor had to do in football. They had to eventually win conference titles because it was great to be good, Heisman Trophy, but then you have to go validate it. Well, they win the 2013 Big 12 title, and then they win it again. That's what you have to do. And, of course, could have won it 3 or 4 years in a row. It didn't happen.
Well, you got to prove that you're not just a one-off. It's not a fluke year that you had, with Baylor football, it was, they had a generational player. Well, then they proved that, no, the generational player was just he just kicked down the door. That's all he did, and he opened the door for it. With Scott Drew, I think now the next step is not just being a good team in the Big 12 Conference, it's actually winning the thing. And like you said, winning the thing, winning it, maybe winning it a couple times, getting the players in. Last year's team felt to me like the first time ever, and he's had some really, really good teams bordering on great, that this was a team that finally just fit his personality completely. Guys that all completely bought in to the Scott Drew philosophy. He's had some teams where you thought that, and then they've got 3 guys that transfer because, I don't know, they don't like happiness or something. I never got it, but they just weren't a fit and they moved on. But they have a team now that is really all Scott Drew guys, and they're getting recruits that seem to be in that mold of, this is my guy. This is not, I'm just not just going here because I like the style of play. I like the coaching staff. I like the head coach. I like where they're headed.
I like the campus. I like the school.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
I don't have anything to add to that. No.
Yeah.
I mean,
Pretty well done.
they're set up. They should go out and win a title this year, and there's not really an excuse not to. I mean, or at least be in competition for it. Anything else, I think, would be a disappointment.
One quote on the Cowboys. We mentioned Don Terry Poe and then Worley have been released yesterday's trade. This is Brett Favre on Mike McCarthy, on what he's dealing with. I'm a little bit baffled because Mike's pretty good at handling players and dealing with issues. Is he perfect? No one is. I think maybe part of the problem, he's pretty stubborn and strong-minded and a disciplinarian, but not in a way like he's going to go to the principal. He's just got that tough Pittsburgh mentality, which is where he's from. Maybe the group of guys they have, the core group that you count on, maybe are not guys that take coaching very well. I don't know. There's something missing there, and I'm not defending the coaching staff necessarily, but you got to take ownership as a player, as a group of guys to get that thing righted, to get the ship back afloat, regardless of who your coach is. That's a lame excuse to not want to get it back on course because the coaches or whatever. That's a lame excuse. They're lacking from a player leadership perspective.
Well, they lost their biggest leader in Dak Prescott, and he's not there every day. And I'm not sure how many other real vocal rah-rah guys that they have, because Amari Cooper can be a leader, but he's not vocal. I mean, he's a leader in this is how hard I'm going to work. Tank Lawrence can be a leader, but he's also now starting to get his feelings hurt on Twitter. You know what doesn't happen with Dak Prescott or Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady or, I'm trying to think of Aaron Donald or guys like that. Drew Brees Drew Brees took some Twitter vitriol this year because of something. And you know what? They stood up and they took it, and they didn't care. They're just, okay, that's that, and that's me, and I know. I have to deal with this locker room, and I can't do that. I can't do that by worrying about what some dude who doesn't like me thinks that I'll never meet. That's it. And that's something that Jason Garrett, outside of Cole Beasley and Des Bryant and Terrence Williams, Jason Garrett did a great job of getting guys to not give a crap about what people said about them on social media.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers doesn't care about it. And Drew Brees, I mean, that wasn't an incident of him caring about what people had to say until he felt like he had to care about what people had to say. It was more of just responding to backlash and not going out of his way to read his mentions like Tank Lawrence clearly does, and, flip his lid over criticism. I stopped being much of a fan of Tank Lawrence when I saw him start to do that months and months ago. Just the kind of angry responses he would have. And you know what? He's got to step up and be a leader. He's getting paid money now. He's got no excuses. I don't think Zeke's much of a leader. At least he's not one that leads by – he might be one that leads by example, but it doesn't seem that he's really all that vocal of a leader. And, they're just at a loss. I don't think you're losing your starting quarterback – is anything to shake a stick at, and certainly it explains the troubles that this team has had to a certain extent. But I think what it's done is just ripped off just how fragile this team really is, and that if he's that much of the glue, then they got big problems on that roster. That if Dak Prescott goes down, they're all of a sudden going to fall apart. And I know that on the field it's had to do with missing offensive linemen and all sorts of different things. But as far as the attitude and leadership of the team, they are missing something with Dak, but that should be an opportunity for others to step up. And instead, you're seeing guys complain about the lack of leadership or not stepping up, and I think that's a problem if you're the Cowboys.
I'm not always checking the transaction wire, and we got to get to our interview with Bremon's Seth Kozowski in a second. What have the 49ers lost at times this year?
I mean, they've lost their best wide receiver's been in and out of the lineup, was out for the first 4 weeks, and now is out again in Deebo Samuel. They've lost pretty much all their running backs, at one time or another, to now where they're down to Jerick McKinnon and a rookie and JaMychal Hasty. They've lost most of their defensive line, which is stacked. So Jimmy Garoppolo hasn't played every game. They've had to play Nick Mullins
and deserve to,
and CJ Beathard. So but they've figured it out. And part of that is they have a better front office.
Yeah, they have not had their entire offensive line decimated, but they've been through their problems. And maybe that's a bad enough, but there are other teams that have had problems who've lost their. And I know, Craig, what you mentioned a couple of days ago really made sense to me. Yeah, but they've had just been decimated. There are teams though that. With them, it's like, well, that's an excuse. Other teams, you just go back to work, and they don't seem to have that mentality, and that's what you wish they did. And maybe they'll turn the corner and somehow win in Philadelphia, and Lord knows if it's enough to kickstart this team or not. I don't know if they're good enough with what they have to be able to beat anybody else the rest of the year.
They haven't shown any fight. I mean, it'd be one thing if you're losing, and you're losing because you're missing a lot of talent, and you're fighting, and you're scratching, and you're clawing to try and get a win, but you go out and you get blown out by Washington, who we know is not a very good team. That's not showing a whole lot of fight. And, they've not shown that toughness that you would like to, probably lose most of their games the rest of the way. That's going to happen regardless of really their attitude, most likely. And I know most fans are probably rooting for them to lose every game the rest of the way because, hey, this new draft pick will save us because that's worked out really well. But they've shown very little toughness and very little leadership in times of drama, and I think that speaks to the lack of both of those things, which is something that needs to get figured out because you don't win Super Bowls with lack of leadership or lack of responsibility.
Cowboys are bringing back Cooper Rush to help with the depth chart at quarterback. Of course, they cut him after they signed Andy Dalton. He was claimed by the Giants and then cut before the season began.
The Cowboys have a quota that they must meet. They must have 2 red-haired quarterbacks in the building at all times.
Or a former quarterback as a head coach and a quarterback who's red-headed. All right, coming up next, the story about Bremont quarterback Seth Kozowski. I mentioned they and Mart both played on Monday. So did Groesbeck in their win against Fairfield. Bremont and Mart play. When that district came out, you saw that game. And Mart's the favorite. They've won, 3 in a row. Bremont had their stretch, remember, with the great teams led by Rashard Paul. So they've dominated the last 10 years when it comes to Class 2A football and their level. They're playing Saturday, both coming off wins Monday. The story about Bremont quarterback, in his own words, Seth Kozowski, next on SicEm365 Radio. Muscle-wise nutrition. Have you tried do-it-yourself programs to lose weight? You may not know that a typical do-it-yourself program, a quarter of the weight you lose is due because of muscle breakdown and loss. With COVID harming obese and overweight patients, being at ideal body weight is more important than ever. It's really always important. Over 30 physicians in Central Texas were tired of seeing their patients fail at losing weight themselves, and so they opened up Muscle-Wise Nutrition. A coach-managed weight loss program targets fat and spares the muscle. 4 Muscle-Wise locations have taken off over 19,000 pounds from Texas dieters the last few years. The combination of coaching, weekly body composition analysis to target the fat loss are the keys to success, and discipline, of course, as well. The coaches teach you how to eat and live a healthy lifestyle. Here's how you get in touch with them. If you're at that point where you've done everything you think about, and you've done it all, and you want one more chance to try to lose some weight, here's the email. It's easy to remember. SicEm365 at MuscleWiseNutrition.com. SicEm365 at MuscleWiseNutrition.com for our viewers and listeners. And Coach will contact you about free educational seminars. Don't wait. SicEm365 at MuscleWiseNutrition.com.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.CamilleJohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Car has the trucks, man. They have the one for you. Crew cab, short or long bed, silver, black or blue. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, he has the truck for you. Carr has the trucks, man. He has the truck you need. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Jeff Kozlowski, quarterback and safety at Bremond. His grandfather, Ronnie Williams, was AD football coach, Canadian, back in 2002. And then Seth was born when Ronnie Williams took over the job at Melissa, when it was a school that was open. His father, Jeff Kozlowski, was at Melissa as well. His uncle Joe Williams is a quarterback's coach now at Aledo. His other uncle, Zach Williams, who played at Melissa, was a quarterback there, played at West Point. The family is loaded with coaching genes and athletics, including his mother, who's a volleyball coach, among others. His sister's on the volleyball team. And here's a story about Bremond quarterback Seth Gazowski. Bremond senior quarterback Seth Gazowski also plays safety and does a lot and has had an amazing stretch, as has Bremond, winning Monday night, and now they have Mart on Saturday. Seth, thank you for your time. Let's start with just really everything since March. As a young man closing out, your junior year, and then you enter your senior year, and everything that's been going on. How difficult has it been, and how has it been to manage through everything?
Well, it's been pretty crazy. We were just in the middle of baseball season during March, and then, this stuff hit, and they said, we're gonna have a week off and we'll be back, and we were all kind of excited. And the next thing you know, they shut down school for the rest of the year, and nobody really knew how serious the virus was and what was to come from it. So going into the summer, we were all just more worried about getting to play, especially the seniors. Being our senior year, we wanted to go out on our own terms and be able to play our senior year the way we wanted to. So once the UIL called and said that we were going to be able to play, that really took a lot of pressure and gave us a lot of relief. So, yeah.
What is the your friends and your teammates and classmates? One of the things that we've discussed, no matter if it's the pro players, the college players, or even the high school players, or just a young person who's just, whether they're an athlete or not, is to battle the depression or to battle some of the anxieties of this. Have most of your classmates and you handled that okay?
Yes, sir. Really for us, it was just more of getting used to just to the mask and all the rules and everything, but it's really brought us in closer. I think with all the stuff that's going on, you just gotta be thankful that we're here and embrace the memories that you have in your senior year, and just being able to be together and play our last year of football together is I really think it's brought us closer together. So really in the span of the last 2 weeks, we've had to adjust a lot, but just being able to play football and be at school together for the last time, it's really brought us closer together, I think, than we would have ever been.
Yeah, and you've had even the football season is up and down because you're playing twice in a week. You played Monday night and won, and now you have the showdown for the district title on Saturday against Mart. When you saw realignment come out, Bremond and Mart in the last decade, back in the days even when Rashad Paul and Bremond had that great run, and you were right there watching it along the way, and then what Mart has done in recent years, it's kind of a collision course, and these two teams have run Class 2A for the most part. What's this like?
Oh, it's just there's not many places in the state of Texas that you can say that you get to watch two powerhouses play for the district championship. So, they're a great program, as just like we are, and there's not many places in the state of Texas where you can say that you're watching the district championship and the two teams have won the last 6 state championships. So that's pretty special in our opinion. And, we're excited to play them, and I'm sure they're excited to play us. And I'm sure we're all ready for Saturday.
So you have been a part of this program. Heck, you've been a part of the field house and football and athletic program since you were basically born. Your grandfather was a coach. I know the Canadian connection. Melissa, your dad was there. Your grandfather at times is right there on the sidelines. Your brother is a ball boy. You were a ball boy. Can you kind of just explain how you've just basically soaked in athletics since you were born?
Yes, sir. Well, I really could start. The memories really start coming in when we were in Melissa, watching my grandpa and my dad coach together. Even my uncle was playing for me at the time, playing quarterback. So really just soaking that in and watching how it worked, and then we came to Bremond when I was young, and Dad and I, we just looked at the list and said, okay, here's everybody, looking at who we're going to be playing with when I'm in high school, and just coming up. And when you come up living in Bremond, it's just you just got a winning tradition installed, and you don't want to let anybody down. So you come up believing you can win, and that's what we go out there believing we can do every Friday night. So just being able to come up in Bremont, everybody believes that every time you step on the field, you're supposed to win. So it's more about carrying the tradition than it is just about coaching, just about football in general,
Yeah, and your mother's a coach, right? Your mom coaches too.
Yes, sir. She coaches volleyball. My sister is on the volleyball team. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so everybody's involved, and Sam is your brother, the ball boy. What's it like to have him on the sidelines with you, and does that kind of reflect back on what it was like for you when you were that age?
Yes, sir. It is. He's very intense. He's a lot smarter at that age than I was about it, though. He's like me, though. Me and Dad. He's more of me and Dad. Is very competitive, but his knowledge for the game is very high. So if I do something wrong, he's going to tell me when I get to the sideline. But just having him out there, it's really special. Some of the biggest wins, I remember just seeing him, just the biggest grin on his face. So really, him being a part of it, it makes it special with me, him, and Dad all together.
When you watched the run that Bremont had, those 3 straight state championships, and you watched Rashad Paul, and there was more than Rashad, but he was phenomenal, and watching your dad be a part of that, and I was at, I think, a couple of those games when you won it, one of them down in Houston. Did you ever dream that one day you would be leading that program as the quarterback with those type of expectations?
Oh, yes, sir. Before then, I remember in 3rd grade, we were all talking about our senior year in high school, and that's the goal of everybody is wanting to go win a state championship. And then as we got into our middle school years and we went on the run for the 3 years, it just put it in your mind that we got a possibility to do it. It gives you the hope and belief that you can go out there and do it. So. But it's hard to live up to those expectations. But that's what the standard is around here. Is it's not just average to make the playoffs. You got to go pretty deep just to be people to be satisfied around here. But that's the way we like it. So just having those years of those runs, it was really special. It was just different.
You guys, I did a couple of your games in the postseason, and eventually you lost to Falls City, but I was there for the win. I think maybe, I don't know where it was, down south, and then also your playoff game. Did that quarterfinal round loss drive you throughout the offseason? Can you kind of explain that? Okay, we want to get back to this point again.
Yes, sir. I know after that game, we felt like we should have won, and we could have won, and just that senior class we had last year, but they were great, just leadership wise, and we weren't the most talented, and we just were tough and never gave in, just like the regional round with Flatonia. When we went down early and we fought back and ended up winning in overtime, just that Bremont spirit never quit, and it just pulls through. And us seniors, we knew that coming into this year we had a shot to be pretty good again, and I know we wanted to get back and just keep pushing forward. In the off season, when we found out we were going to get to play and we started summer workouts, that was our main focus. Was okay, let's go take it one game at a time, and then once Bremont gets in the playoffs, it's that momentum starts taking over, and it's tough to beat us.
There's been a couple of times in your life that maybe those who don't know you well, obviously the injury last year when there was a chance that there were concerns you'd torn your ACL. Of course, you ended up with an injury to your PCL. It was still bad. You missed about a month of football. What was that like when you had something you loved so much taken away from you because of the injury?
Yeah, it was hard. It was just different. You don't really realize how much you love the game until it gets taken away from you. And when I was gone, I did my best to be a good teammate and support. And JT did a great job leading the offense while I was gone. But as soon as we got back in the playoffs, and sure enough, Dalton had torn his meniscus and MCL, and we came back the same week. And then once we came back that second week of the playoffs, and sure enough, we lit up Agua Dulce. We felt like we had got our mojo back at about the right time and going into Flatonia and Fall City.
There are a lot of people that don't know this story. There is a chance you're not here today. Everybody has a story about something in their life that could have been, something that would have been tragic. And you were laying in bed, your mom and dad's bed, and I don't know how much this brings back either the memory to you, but it also allows people to realize that there's a reason for everything. So you're laying in your mom and dad's bed, and you could have been in your own bed. Tell everybody what happened. How much do you remember that night, and is it hard to discuss how you almost didn't make it?
Well, I was young. I was in about third grade, and I just gotten done playing a Little League baseball game, and I think it got canceled for the weather or something. So we left and went home, and I was throwing up a little bit on the way home, and then Mom and Dad were worried that I was sick, so I slept with them, and then I couldn't remember what happened because of the thing, but sure enough, I woke up on the floor of my mom and dad's bathroom, and Dad had told me what was happening, and you know me, I was trying to get up, and I sure enough had a seizure, and I was just trying to get up, like wondering why people were trying to put me on a stretcher, but it was the day before the last day of school, so I remember sitting in they had put I was dehydrated, and that's what it was from, so they took me to the hospital and put some IVs in me, and sure enough, I was feeling good. And then after that happened, it was about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was asking Mom when we were going to leave and go to school. So it probably wasn't as near scary for me as it was for my parents. I can remember the stuff my dad was saying about it, about how it freaked him out because I'd lost breath for about a minute, but. I couldn't remember any of it, but for them, I bet I couldn't imagine if that happened to my child.
Yeah, your father kind of just choked up a little bit when he shared that story with me, and he knew you'd remember it, but not sure exactly everything you would remember. So what's it like now? Big moment in a game, whether it's a game when you're winning big or a moment where you got to make a play. And you can come to the sidelines now as someone who's been in that system forever. And when you come to the sidelines, you and your father, let's say it's 3rd and 10 or 2nd and 15 or whatever it might be, 3rd and goal from the 5. What's that wavelength like between you and your dad now when you come to the sidelines to talk to him about a play?
It's very trusting. I know that he knows that I see I can see stuff on the field sort of like him, and I don't have the play calling expertise near like he does because he's been coaching for so long. But I'll say things to him during the games, and sometimes we'll run them, and sometimes he'll have something in his mind that he wants to run, and there's been key moments that we've had like that before where. Hey, it's 3rd and 15 versus Ball City, and I'll signal something to him, and he'll like it, and we'll call it, and it'd be a big play. But most of the time, he's got it, and he knows what needs to be run. But just to be able for him to trust me to say some stuff to him like that means a lot.
You've been through all of this year, and you have this game, and Mart obviously is a team that's dominant. What's this week like? The weather's cold and nasty. You played Monday night. You turn around. We're not that far away from November. What's it like right now, and how exciting is it right now?
Well, it's crazy. I can tell you, this year, I bet it's probably been my fastest year of football. Everyone's told me that as you get older and older, the years go by faster and faster, and I didn't really believe it until it's been my senior year, but it's been amazing just being able to play and how the year's gone on. We really didn't have any problems with the virus until 2 weeks ago, and when that hit, it was hard being away for 2 weeks. And we came back and, sure enough, beat Wortham and came on the other Monday versus Chilton. And then, just the practice schedule's been so different, and working on and just trying to figure things out on the fly because nobody really knows how to handle this. I'm sure in a few years' time, if this stuff's still going on, everybody will know how to figure it out. But just the excitement in the air right now, I can tell you that you want to play the best team in the state, and you don't want to go just beat everybody. You want to play the teams that are good, and you want to just so people know that tradition is there. And Martin Bremond, like I said, it's just something special. That's just two teams that have always had great tradition and high expectations, and just to be able to play each other on a Saturday night, it doesn't get much better than that.
Hey, Seth, keep doing what you're doing. Keep being who you are. Look, good luck. I know, obviously, Mark's got a great team, and you guys are bouncing back early and from the early losses, and it should be fun. Thanks for your time, and enjoy the week.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
The kickoff savings event continues at Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac. All 2020 vehicles on their lot remain priced to move right now, and you can get it all. A smooth, quiet ride in first-class interior matched with power and durability. The GMC Sierra is the best truck on the road, and during Richard Carr's kickoff savings event, qualified buyers will score $9,000 off a 2020 GMC Sierra at Richard Carr. The deals also include the Buick Encores. Right now, get $10,000 off, the Buick Enclaves, 2020 three-row Buick Enclaves, $10K off those right now. You can also get the Nimble Buick Encore for only $19,900. Amazing value in luxury SUVs during the kickoff savings event. Maybe you're trying to step up to a little bit of luxury and style with the Cadillac brand. We'll let Richard Carr bring the Cadillac experience to you with an XT4, XT5, or the full-size 7-passenger Cadillac XT6 and save $2,000 on those vehicles. It's the kickoff savings event at Richard Carr. Score huge savings, thousands off right now on all vehicles in stock. Go to richardcarr.com or come see the deals in person at Highway 6 and Imperial Exit. Or, as always, give them a call, and they will bring the test drive to you.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
It's the heat of the summer, but the real heat is what you're cooking on the grill, smoker, or in the oven. So Waco Custom Marketplace can be your go-to playmaker for summertime grilling. You can't go eat anywhere else? Be your own chef with custom ordered and cut ribeyes, sirloins, fillets, New York strips with a focus on high-quality beef at a competitive price. Waco Custom Marketplace also has fresh deli cuts with sliced turkey, ham, pepperoni, or corned beef. Waco Custom Marketplace also your home for the freshest seafood in town. Salmon, salmon, shrimp, mahi-mahi, great priced chicken products, whole birds, tenders, chicken breast, and wings. Waco Custom Marketplace with smoked items unique to Waco, house-made bacon, summer sausage, boudin, hot links, and German sausage. Every seasoning for every occasion, grilling, baking, or frying. Your hometown grocery store with canned goods, pasta, fresh baked bread, buns, chips, sauce, condiments to pickles, charcoal and lighter fluid, cold beer and wine, best kolaches in Waco, mouth-watering cinnamon rolls, and here for the community every single day, helping you avoid the long lines in crowded stores, serving quality products to the Waco community. Go online for the weekly value boxes. Family owned and operated Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lakeview Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
Costello going deep down the middle, and this one is picked off in the end zone by Miles Jones.
This segment with Olin Buchanan of TexAgs.com is sponsored by Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, with over 40 group exercise classes Monday through Sunday on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
All right. Texas A&M's had a chance to kind of take a deep breath after the win. They beat Florida Cup. That's been, almost 3 weeks ago, and then came back and the next week beat Mississippi State on the road. Arkansas, in a game that's at Kyle Field this year because of COVID. Next year, it'll be back at AT&T Stadium. And Olin, that's one of the things I'll start with Olin Buchanan, TexAgs.com. We asked Mac Rhodes this question yesterday. Would he take what normally would be a neutral game, shifted to Kyle Field this year, and then the second game back would go back to a neutral? Why would Arkansas do that?
Probably has something to do with Jerry Jones.
There you go. Okay.
Think two things. Number one, he's losing money this year, and he's going to make money if the game's in, at his stadium, and he's also a big donor to Arkansas. So if he says, hey, if you want me to keep making the big contributions, maybe I need you to play in my stadium next year.
Oh, Lord.
This game, Olin, is always crazy, but even in Arkansas, there are years where A&M should probably dismantle Arkansas on paper, and it gets wild. I mean, Kenny Hill had a comeback in one, and pretty much every quarterback from A&M the last few years has had some kind of wacky Arkansas comeback at Jerry World. What's different about this year's game, given what Sam Pittman has done at Arkansas already?
Well, I don't know, because I think it's probably going to be crazy again. I think, and I don't mean this really to be a disrespect for Arkansas, but there were times I wrote that you don't have to beat Arkansas because Arkansas beat themselves. They'll do something, whether it be coaches or whatever, that just doesn't make sense, like kicking off to Christian Kirk right after you take the lead, or some things like that. They just don't make sense. And, they'll make a big mistake late. A&M makes the mistakes early and keeps Arkansas in the game. And then Arkansas has always made that mistake late that's allowed A&M to pull it out. It just seems, I don't get to see Arkansas all the time, but it just seems to me, what I have seen is Arkansas's not making the big boneheaded mistakes, like letting the guy pretend to fair catch a ball and then take it for a touchdown like North Texas did. They're just not making the bonehead mistakes. They're playing sound football, and if they lose, it's because you just got a better team than them, not because they did something to make themselves hurt themselves. So I think that A&M has to expect an Arkansas team that's gonna that's not gonna help them out. So they're gonna have to play well to win.
I know Texas A&M has played pretty well defensively. What do you think of this Arkansas offense with Kendall Briles and Felipe Franks at quarterback? I mean, Olin, it's not the Briles offense, Baylor offense, at its peak. They're not scoring at a high clip, but it also doesn't seem that's really their style right now. But what impressions have you been able to gather on Briles and that offense?
Well, I think overall it's pedestrian, to be honest. They don't run the football very well at all. Now, they do have some good receivers, and Felipe Franks can throw it, the length of the field. So there is big playability there. I don't know about their offensive line. I think that might be an area of concern. But no, I mean, it's not what Baylor used to have. I know that's what they're hoping to develop into, but I think at this point right now, they're pretty one-dimensional. And I guess if you can get some pressure on Franks, or if you have some good coverage, that you should be okay. Because let's be honest, they've won 2 games because they've intercepted 9 passes and returned 3 for touchdowns.
And they lost a game because of that spike call that went against them, right? The one that should have been a fumble against Auburn. Do you think, based on what you've seen, obviously they had the loss to Alabama, and Alabama had the big win with Georgia. Do you feel like A&M's a top-ranked, top 10 team in the country?
Yeah, I think they should be. I mean, when you go out and beat a team, you got to win over a team right now that's still in the top 10. And I don't think most people thought A&M would beat Florida. And I, quite frankly, before that game, I think Florida was being touted as a potential national championship team, if not at least a playoff team. And even today, I saw one of the guys that covers the SEC for CBS said that he thought that he would take Florida over Georgia. So, A&M is one of 2 teams that have a victory over a team that is currently in the top 10. So I think that makes you a top 10 team, especially if your only loss is on the road to Alabama.
How much have they kind of now finally settled into offensive roles with Anaya Smith and Isaiah Spiller, and everybody kind of knows what they're doing now as they've shifted out of dealing with who are going to be the wide receivers and who are going to be the playmakers that they kind of had to deal with early in the season?
Yeah, they're probably about 95% there. They wanted to make Anaya Smith a running back. The combination of Spiller playing so well and then the injury to Caleb Chapman forced Anais back to receiver, which is a position that he prefers to play anyway. And they have good depth at running back, so it made sense. I think where you're still got some concern is what you're going to do at that third receiver spot, because obviously Anais is going to play one. Chase Lane's playing real well at another, but you need somebody that can take the top off the defense, and that's what you lost when Caleb Chapman got hurt. I think Hezekiah Jones, who's been injured, I think he's going to be back. It hadn't been absolutely confirmed, but we suspect that he'll be back in the lineup, and he can do that. He's got good speed. They're still waiting on the freshman, Damon Demas. Now, Kellen Mond said this week that Damon Demas had I think the way he put it was a great week in the open week of practice. So maybe Damon Demas, who absolutely can take he showed in high school and in all-star games, can take the top off defense. Maybe he's ready. But I think their roles are pretty set, with the exception of trying to fight to nail down who you want, getting the majority of snaps as that third receiver.
Olin, outside of just, having the ability to kind of catch your breath a little bit, what was the biggest benefit of having the extra time, you think, for this football team?
Well, I think Isaiah Spiller was a little bit he came out of the Mississippi State game limping a little bit. I don't think it would have kept him out of a game, but you got an extra week to get him ready. Bobby Brown sat out that game against Mississippi State with I don't know exactly what the injury was. He was celebrating a sack and hurt his leg. So he should be back in. Eric Young, I've heard he's been out since I think the Alabama game. And my understanding is he's going to be back. So you got a chance to get some guys that can really help you, get them healthy and get them back on the field.
So, one of the things that A&M has struggled with recently, and really for a while, is they get off the nice starts, and we know that they fade down the stretch. This year, the schedule seems so much more manageable, and they're probably better. But how do you keep from eating the cheese, as Parcells used to say? Has Fisher preached that the last week about don't believe the headlines or the rankings, go by what you do every day the same way every day?
Yeah, he actually used the rat poison analogy that Fisher made famous this week. Now, we'll say this. When they had that tendency to fade, we called it the November fade, that was Kevin Sumlin. And Fisher's teams have shown a tendency to get better as the season went on. I know they lost, but they played a really strong game at Georgia last year. Nobody was going to beat LSU, so I just kind of throw that out. And the year before, they really did well in November. I think it really comes down to coaching and how focused this team is, because I think there's a lot of possibilities out there, and they recognize it. And are you going to be that team that gets more focused and plays better because more is on the line, or like a past, you were referring to a past A&M team. You might remember A&M was number 4 in the first playoff rankings, the first ever. They go to Mississippi State, a losing team, and lost. Then they lost to Ole Miss, and then they lost to LSU. That team didn't handle the pressure very well. This team has to prove that it can handle that pressure and those expectations.
8 straight wins for the Aggies. 8 straight against Arkansas. And some of them, of course, Johnny Manziel year, they destroyed Arkansas 58-10. But everyone since that time, there's been a couple, but has 3 of them in overtime. And you mentioned sometimes A&M was dead to rights and they hit a long pass or they got the kick return, and it's like you said, Arkansas imploded. But the games at AT&T Stadium have been heavenly in some ways. It's been incredible what we've seen there.
They really have. And even the not talking about the Manziel games, but even the one that, and I can't tell you the year right now off the top of my, I know Trevor Knight was the quarterback. That might have been 2016. Even that year when A&M won by a couple of touchdowns, A&M had 2 goal line stands in that game. And then they finally nailed it down with I think it was a 92-yard touchdown pass from Trevor Knight to Josh Reynolds. Who's doing well in the NFL. So imagine that. But so even the one game that if you just looked at the score, you thought A&M won it substantially. The fact was they had to stop Arkansas at the 1-yard line twice. And one of those goal line stands was just before that long touchdown pass to Josh Reynolds.
Olin expecting a big crowd this weekend?
I expect it'll be like it was against Florida, about 25%. Nobody wants to believe that it was 25%. It was about 25%. Well, here's the thing: when you look at Kyle Field, after the renovation, well, I can't tell you how many seats are in the upper deck end zones, but it's vast. It's a vast number, and those were empty. The upper deck was pretty much empty, and what was happening is fans were saying, "Okay, well, I can get closer to the field." And so what A&M didn't do a good job of was making sure that those fans, for social distancing, didn't stay where they were supposed to be. And more fans were coming down into the lower decks. And that's one of the reasons why it looked like there were a whole lot more fans than were. You can choose to believe that or not. But that's but that's the company line.
Well, it gave Dan Mullen COVID. That's all there is to it. Hey, Olin, you mentioned Josh Reynolds, who played at Tyler Junior College, and but also Christian Kirk has got touchdowns the last 2 weeks for the Cardinals, playing very well. Scored against the Cowboys, scored again last week. He scored twice, I think, against Dallas in a long touchdown.
He scored 4 touchdowns in the 2 weeks.
Yeah, he's done really well. Yeah.
He and you know what? And they both did very well against Arkansas. In fact, we used to call Josh Reynolds the Angry Bird because he was always tormenting the pigs.
Oh my God, yeah.
But Christian Kirk too. Again, he had one time they had Arkansas had A&M dead to rights. It appeared, just took the lead, had all the momentum. They kick off to Christian Kirk, and he returns it for a touchdown. The momentum swung, and A&M ended up winning it in overtime on a pass to Christian Kirk.
Yep, I remember that very well. That was crazy. I'm definitely going to be watching this weekend, just hoping there's more craziness.
Hey, thanks a lot,
So maybe
Olin.
they're looking – yeah, you bet. Thanks for having me on, guys.
You too, buddy. That's Olin Buchanan, TexAgs.com with us, Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness sponsor on Wednesdays at 4:45. When we come back, the 5 o'clock hour, the Cowboys have had movement again on their roster, or the roster's leaner in some ways, and John Machota will join us, along with a Zach Martin quote about if what happened to Andy Dalton happens again. Number 2, 3 is, they got this game coming up against Philadelphia that could put them right back in the race, even if they lose or win. But that's next with John Machota. Then Football Bob will join us today at 5:30, SicEm365 Radio.
If you are in the market for a new home or trying to sell the one you're in, and you're probably trying to do both if you own a home already and you're looking for a new one, you need to call my good friend Lance Donaldson and the Donaldson family team, brokered by eXp Realty, 254-214-3713. Online, lancedonaldson.exprealty.com, or just Google search Lance Donaldson. It'll bring it right up. He's got great listings. He's also a great lister. He's a great guy. You're gonna have fun looking at houses with him. But when you're looking for a house, you know what you want. But there are some things you may not even realize that are out there for you. Lance is the kind of realtor who's gonna plug in what you want, plus with those things that you didn't even know you always wanted, and find that perfect dream home for you. So give him a call, 254-214-3713, or online at lance.donaldson.exprealty.com.
Employee pricing is back at Allen Samuels, exclusively on the king of minivans, the new 2020 Chrysler Pacifica. Get employee pricing plus financing as low as 0%, or employee pricing and up to $4,250 in cash. You get Pacifica loaded up with style, comfort, and options, all in one gorgeous minivan. Employee pricing with special financing or cash. Choices are always great at your friend in the car business, Allen Samuels.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
How often have you said it's time to get in shape every day, every week, every month, maybe for as long as you can remember? How about starting today? I promise if you'll just join Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness now, you'll thank me later. Hi, this is David Smoke, offering a variety of 40 group exercise classes every single week, including boot camp on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5:15, plus spin, body shaping, Pilates, yoga, and bar. And there's a free kids club as well. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness open Monday through Thursday, 5 to 10, Friday 5 to 8, Saturday and Sunday 7 to 7, and personal trainers Christy London and Randall Court. World-class tennis facility with pros Britt Coleman and Joe Rosa with lessons, camps, and special events. Spacious and clean workout rooms, locker room for men and women, both with a whirlpool and sauna, and now there's touchless bottle filling stations. No intimidation, tremendous camaraderie, an entirely new atmosphere, and yes, you can do this, but you have to walk through the front door. It's time to react today, not tomorrow. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one, commercial, farm and ranch, or residential. Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, specializing in diagnosis and treatment of any and all sport-related injuries, celebrating over a decade of service to Central Texas. They tackle all surgical and non-surgical problems that arise from an active lifestyle. Trust the doctors that Baylor trust, and when injuries sideline you, don't wait for Monday. Join us at 8:30 on Saturday mornings for a post-game injury evaluation clinic. Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. We get you back in the game.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with John Machota of The Athletic, brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
On 3rd and 10 against a 4-man rush. Dalton steps up. He tucks it and runs and slides and gets hit by Bostic. And flags come flying, no question. Dalton's helmet is off and he's still down.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments, with financial advisor Brad Wilson. Investing is time and experience back to you and your money during today's changing times. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
All right, this 5 o'clock hour, we'll have right now John Machota, 5:30 football, Bob breaking down Baylor and as they head to game with TCU and what happened against Texas. And also, we'll hear again from linebackers Terrell Bernard and Dylan Doyle as the Baylor's gone back to workouts full throttle first time this year after all the ups and downs of the delays of the season. John Machota joins us, and isn't the Star a little bit busy? Players are gone, players are leaving, players traded. John, what's it been like? It's kind of a revolving door. Is this the trimming of the fat?
I think it is to a certain extent. I mean, none of them are really that shocking. I mean, Everson Griffin, he had a couple sacks, and, you know, he got a few, you know, quarterback pressures, but I don't think anybody looked at it as it met the expectations that you were thinking when they signed him. And so he's probably a better fit with Detroit anyway, so it's probably better for both teams altogether. So that one, I mean, that's the most significant move. I mean, Dontari Poe getting released today and Daryl Worley, like, those guys played, and so you saw them on Sundays, and so it seemed significant, but they weren't making plays anyway. And so they were playing, though, because the guys behind them can't make that many plays either. So it's not like they're getting rid of these guys to, oh, we're going to play some guys that are going to be more productive. No, it's just they're going to get younger, and they're going to play the younger guys and find out what they have there, because it's going to be all about moving forward and seeing what they have going forward. Because if you're not going to be part of the future with the team, it doesn't make sense for you to be getting much playing time right now. So, you know, with Everson Griffin gone, it opens up the door for more Dorrance Armstrong and Bradley Anai, and then more importantly, Randy Gregory. So they might not be done yet either. So we'll see. But it's an interesting time right now, because generally this time of year, if the Cowboys are involved with moves, at least recently, it's been them trying to add somebody. So it's very telling that they're shipping some guys off.
So, John, Clinton Dix, Gerald McCoy, Dontari Poe, Everson Griffin, Daryl Worley, probably about $20 million or so in guaranteed money that they shelled out. And had they just brought in league minimum guys, you could say that the very least nothing would have changed. They'd still have the worst defense in the Super Bowl era. Yeah, absolutely. I think, but you had to make those moves. Just like, I mean, hindsight's so 2020 about all of this. I mean, you can go back to the same thing with Ezekiel and his contract. You know, there's so many that believe you don't pay a running back like that. And then what you've gotten since you got the contract, you know, there's people that are critical of that, but you got to go back to when the actual move was made. And when the move to sign him was made, Jason Garrett was still the head coach. The way that team was structured, Zeke was going to be a huge part of that. They needed him to ultimately reach the success that Jason Garrett needed within making the playoffs and then making a run. So that's why they did that move. They did these offseason moves in terms of the guys you just mentioned, because it was about transitioning from what they had done the previous year to, hey, we can't just flip this roster completely on defense in one offseason. So we're changing our defensive scheme. And so to do that, we're going to have to add in some veteran players that are more familiar with this type of style. And they swung and missed on a lot of these guys. And, you know, I think losing Gerald McCoy was the one that hurt the most. If he's still here and he's healthy, I think that the run defense isn't as nearly as bad as it was. But no, the guys you mentioned, a lot of swings and misses. I mean, really, you look at everything they added, you know, free agency wise, and, you know, especially with Andy Dalton being hurt right now, you know, you can go up and down that list and Blake Bells and Greg Zuerleins, and really the only real positive you got was Alden Smith. So no, it didn't look great, but to be honest with you, I don't know many teams that are really great at building their team through free agency anyway. It's generally you got to draft well, and this team is going to finish with a very bad record. They might not win another game for the rest of the season, and so they're going to have some very high draft picks. They need to make the most of them.
Is the buzz palpable for the return of Cooper Rush?
Yeah, that's a very interesting addition. I think it's just because he's a guy that, you know, they've had around here the last three years. He was the backup to Dak Prescott, and so now that he has to go through the protocols, and then he'll be around next week. So that's I mean, what is that really doing though? You know, I mean, it's like Ben DiNucci playing this Sunday night. At least that's what it looks like right now. It just, if Andy Dalton can't have any success behind this patchwork offensive line, and he's actually had success as a starter in the NFL, it's hard to believe that any of these other guys are going to step in there and get any meaningful snaps and do anything other than move them closer to the goal of and I shouldn't say this is a goal, but it really is. It's just not winning any more games and getting the highest possible draft pick.
Yeah, that is it. I said this, I don't know where it was, maybe on this show earlier this week, but It was Christy Scales. There's nothing worse than losing, and there's nothing worse than losing when your expectations were so high. And this is, as you know, what seems to be a weak locker room, or it's one that really is entitled or whatever. What is everybody? What are they thinking right now, John? Are they still snipping, or are they just stunned at where they are?
I think it's a combination, but I think it's also a little bit of guys just being lost with the adjustments, particularly on defense. The offense, I can point my finger at.
Sure.
At the issues on offense. It's mainly injury related. If you have Dak Prescott, Tyron Smith, Lyle Collins, Blake Jarwin, I mean, this offense is humming. But even when you had those guys, this defense was still a big question mark. And so, like I said, there were swings and misses there on that side of it. But it's not just losing when expectations were high. It's losing the way they've lost these last 2 weeks. You know, I can even make some excuses for a 25-17 loss to Washington or a 38-28 loss to Arizona. But when you're getting just manhandled and just you can't even stop simple run plays up the middle, that just shows there's much bigger issues. It's locker room leadership. It's the new coaching staff. I mean, there's just, you can go all the way to the front office. There's just a disconnect all throughout. And they're not even coming close to competing with teams like Washington. That's not even a good football team. So for the guys that sit there and still be talking about and thinking about, oh, we still have a chance to win the division, it's like you got to play a good series of football first before we even talk about possibly having a good quarter or a half or even winning a game before you want to even talk about playoffs or winning multiple games and staying in the NFC East hunt. I mean, I don't think anybody with the players, coaches, front office, nobody thought it was going to get this bad. Maybe you could see it getting this bad if things fell apart by week, 15, 16, 17, but not this early in the season with very little hope that it's going to turn around anytime soon.
John Machota with us, theathletic.com on SicEm365 Radio.
Mike McCarthy made a lot of buddy hires, Mike Nolan and Jim Tomsula and guys like that. The one he didn't make, I guess, was Kellen Moore. But do you think that Jerry will be in a position to say, like, look, you're good for another year, but your friend's got to go?
It's a good possibility, especially if it stays on the track that it's on right now. I don't see how he can't do that. I can't see how there aren't changes there forced to his assistant coaches. Now, if they, start progressing and it looks like that they're getting to where that they should at least be playing competitive football. I'm not necessarily even saying wins, but if it shows like the product on the field is improving and maybe that the players that are still here are catching on with the defensive scheme, then maybe they don't do any drastic changes like that. But it's hard for me to erase from my mind what I've seen these last 2 weeks and to think that, let's just chalk that up to some injuries. They'll be fine. Like, no, those are bad signs, and because of that, I don't know. It's hard for me to think that this thing's about to turn around. And so if it doesn't turn around, there have to be changes. And there's only so much you can do on the roster. And I do think there'll be off-season changes there, obviously. But you would think there has to be some changes, particularly on that defensive coaching staff.
John, very few people around the team as much as you are. I know you're not around as much as in normal circumstances, but outside of Dak Prescott, who are the leaders on this team?
I would say Leighton Vander Esch, Sean Lee, Zach Martin. All three of those guys have all dealt with injuries. It's hard to be a leader when you're not out there all the time.
Right.
So those three jump out at me. I still believe, and I know that there's some that will question this just because of some of his performance this year, but I still believe DeMarcus Lawrence is a leader on that defense. And really, to a certain extent, I believe Ezekiel Elliott is too. It's kind of interesting this year where things haven't gone well for him, and he's been really the voice for the team, whether it be after games or during the week. Especially since Dak's gone down. I mean, Zeke's been very accountable. And so I think those are some of your leaders. But I think that you need more than just that. And you need guys that are fully bought in. And I just don't know if they have enough guys that are doing that. And so I'll say this. I think that they probably got a pretty good idea of who needs to go. And this isn't just this season. The way the defense has played has been going on since last year. I mean, after they started out, 3-0 to begin the season last year, everything was great. And then it started falling apart there pretty quickly. And I mean, hey, last 20 games, they've only won 7 of them. And a lot of it because that defense has been just absolutely horrible, not just not just not stopping the run, they don't do much against the pass game, and they certainly don't take the ball away. So they need to find more leaders on that defense. I think Trayvon Diggs could be one, but again, it's hard for a young guy to lead. I think CeeDee Lamb will end up being a leader on this team. But again, when you're a rookie like that, there's only so much you can do that guys are going to listen to. So I guess one of the things I'm getting at is that when they have these high draft picks in the first and second round, in April, that better be a big part of the discussion is are we bringing in some guys that are going to be leaders, that are going to do things the right way? Because they need more guys like that.
Who would you say is the worst team in the NFL right now? Is
the Jets?
Okay. Do you know that in the last 20 games they have the same record as the Cowboys?
Yes.
You saw that stat flash up. I don't know if it was last night or whenever it was. That kind of puts things in perspective as well. So Zach Martin made a comment about the hit on Andy Dalton, which I sat there. I'm a Washington fan. I have been all my life, unfortunately, the last 20 years included. But when they hit Dalton and no one reacted, Mike McCarthy made it clear how he felt in the postgame. Zach Martin said, hey, don't think these guys don't have fight next time that happens. Well, there might be a next time with the way this offensive line is playing. Was that stunning to you, John? I can't imagine I know it's a different age, Harvey Martin and Dyron Talbert would have killed somebody. There would have been a brawl somewhere. There would have been bloodshed or something, right?
I would say I think that there's a lot of guys on this team that are kind of shell-shocked from how bad this team is playing, considering that even with the injuries, they still have in this roster and what the expectations were this season. And so that's the way that they play to me. It's like a team that's like, they're very reactive and very almost like what's the next thing that's going to go wrong, as opposed to being on the offensive and leading the charge and setting the tone. And so I got to be honest with you, when the play happened, it didn't really stun me at the moment that nobody got in John Bostic's face or took a swing at him or tackled him or anything like that. But after the game, certainly when Mike McCarthy says that, that you definitely want to handle that in a different way, that surprised me because I wouldn't think, usually coaches don't say that publicly. And so that just showed you how it sat with him. And so, but because he said that publicly, I think that added on to it, made it an even bigger storyline. But just the way I looked at it was kind of like, yeah, Andy Dalton is the quarterback, and there's a lot of young offensive linemen out there. And then I don't know how many other players got to see it when it actually happened. So, sure, would you have liked to see Amari Cooper or Ezekiel Elliott take a swing at John Bostic? Sure, I guess that would have made people feel better or whatever. Maybe see a defensive player come off the bench or something and go after him. But I don't know, just kind of everything happened so fast, and I was kind of stunned too, just in the moment, because I was like, wow, he's in bad shape. Certainly, I was thinking the concussion for sure, but it could have been worse than that. And then the fact that they just lost Dak Prescott on a really shocking injury too, and it just. Even if you look at some of the Washington players, when that hit happens, they immediately grab their helmets too, because they're just like, oh, that's nasty. I can't believe that happened. And I think because of that, I think the reaction was a little bit delayed. But you would like to see them react differently. But I just can't lie to you right now and say in the moment I immediately thought of that. I didn't think of it really until Mike McCarthy said what he said after the game.
John, I'm going to throw out a weird hypothetical. I was just looking at overthecap.com and just looking at some of the moves the Cowboys could make with guys who haven't performed well. If I told you that Jalen Smith was not on the roster next year, would that totally shock you?
It wouldn't shock me at all. No totally involved. No, it would not surprise me at all. And it's interesting, too, because he's leading the NFL right now in tackles, and I don't think there's anybody that watches their games and goes, this is one of the best linebackers in the game right now. He's coming off his first Pro Bowl year. He's one of the highest paid linebackers in the game. He's leading the league in tackles. No. And with all that said, it should surprise me, but no, it would not. And, he's looked at as one of, or at least he wants to be looked at as one of the leaders on the team. And I don't know how many of the other guys are bought in on Jalen Smith being one of the leaders on this team. And so, no, that would not surprise me at all if he's not a Dallas Cowboy next season.
Yep. I don't know if you remember. And John, thanks for your time, my man. Anything, Craig, for John?
No, I'm good.
All right, Paul, anything else for John? John, thank you, man. John Machota with us at Athletic.com and the Cowboys. I want to make sure we have time to run the comments from Dylan Doyle and Terrell Bernard on the team as they've moved forward this week. I remember when they signed him saying Everyone loved it, right?
I was not 100% high on it.
I mean, everybody was excited because everybody likes.
Felt good for him.
Jalen Smith.
Yeah, I think that was unanimous.
But it was one of those things like, did you need to do this?
Why did you do that right now?
Did he have any leverage at all other than, so see what happens. Like, that's the thing that Jerry falls in love real fast. And he's thinking, okay, we're going to get all this locked up and we're going to set this run. Part of I think what a lot of teams that are successful do is they'll let it get down to the contract year and see what happens. They'll let it happen. Jerry rarely lets that happen. And then when he does, it's a situation like Dax where you're like, what are you doing, man? Like, you signed Jalen Smith without batting an eye, but Dak you're wrestling with? I mean, like...
Yep. No, I agree. I thought it was way too soon. It was almost as if he showed the ability that he could actually make it through a game. So they're like, all right, sold. Let's sign him up for 10 years. It's what it felt like. I thought it was a very premature move. I am not anti-Jalen Smith, but, he's a great story. I mean, a great story, the comeback from Notre Dame and being a pretty good player. But, I mean, he is definitely a liability right now.
And I'm just looking at this by doing something. Right now, they have $20 million, but $21 million of cap space headed in with the predicted cap being just under $180 million next year. So $20 million of cap space right now. Jalen Smith, pre-June 1st, would save him $7.2 million. Don Terry Poe's already off. That's $4 million, so that's $11 million. Anthony Brown, who hasn't played well, that's another $4 million they can get rid of. But guess what? All that cap space goes to one guy. Dak Prescott.
Yeah, it goes to your $35 to $40 million quarterback as well. Yeah, it's interesting because Jalen Smith, when that hired, it was a feel-good thing. It's a business decision. And it reminded me of the time that they signed Miles Austin so quickly and Jay Ratliff the second time.
Like, they needed to make a decision. I mean, they didn't have, another 2 years to make a decision on Jalen Smith. I mean, he's on his rookie contract, and that was in his final couple of years, and so you had to make a move, but it still feels like they made the move too early. And, it's almost like as soon as he signed that, you've seen the free fall since then.
Sometimes you have to let guys go.
It's been a downward trend since he signed that contract, basically, which is a common theme with some of the Cowboys players, which is another point of frustration, right? Basically.
One good year. He showed a little bit of signs, and he had one good year, and he looked explosive, and then, okay, let him have 2 good years, or maybe even throughout the contract. Okay, when we come back, we're going to hear from Dylan Doyle, Terrell Bernard on Baylor as they move forward this week. After some of the drama Sunday, practice yesterday, everyone, it seemed like, player to player, even a couple of people on the staff text me that it was their best practice of the year. How about today? I don't know. We'll figure that out. All that and more, plus Football Bob joins us today at 5:30, and this is SicEm365 Radio. If you have more than what is just something that's sore, maybe a bruise, a bone bruise, well, even then that can be pretty painful. If you have something that's more than just aches and pains that are like it seriously hurts you, you feel like there's something more than just aches and pains or soreness, you need an MRI. If your doctor asks you to get an MRI, you need to ask them back about Ideal MRI. Located in the Central Texas Marketplace, idealmri.com, title sponsor of this show. It's in the Central Texas Marketplace. And here's the great thing about Ideal MRI and the imaging that they're going to find and look at what might be wrong with you, bone, ligament, muscle, whatever it is. You don't have to spend half a day waiting. You can get your appointment online. It's very simple. And then when you show up, there's not this long, it seemed like you're never going to be back inside to get your MRI done. You check in, it doesn't take long. You'll then meet with the specialist and the tech, and they'll tell you what they're about to do and what they're going to maybe help you make sure you go through the MRI where it's comfortable. Some going inside that tube can be a little bit claustrophobic or a little bit of an issue. For me, that's been the case. I went to Ideal MRI back in, late March, early April for a shoulder that was bothering me. It's been bothering me forever. And I just can't tell you how comfortable I was from the time I set up the appointment, showed up, and took the time inside of that tube, inside the MRI machine. And by the way, their MRI machine is amazing. It is absolutely state-of-the-art MRI. And then I got a call from Dr. Rob Max. He explained what he saw on the MRI and the imaging. And then I told my doctor, Dr. David Haynes at Southwest Sports Medicine, what they saw and sent that to him. And, of course, clear as a bell what was going on. IdealMRI.com. If you have more than just bumps and bruises, aches and pains, but something that really maybe keeps you up or you can't do something normal, don't forget about IdealMRI.com.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Texas board-certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recall drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com. Principal office located in Houston, Texas.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
If you or a loved one or friend has been arrested and you can't afford bail, trust Terry and Chase Chapman at Chapman's Bail Bonds, covering Waco and McLennan County for over 25 years. Chapman's can bail you out anywhere with experienced, knowledgeable local agents who are committed to serving you professionally, respectfully, and with the highest integrity. Chapman's understands your privacy is important. Your freedom can be secured fast when you use Chapman's Bail Bonds. Open 24 hours a day. Payment arrangements available. Call Chapman's Bail Bonds. When you need help, 254-754-1603. When you ring, we'll spring.
Waco's newest gym, Halo Athletic Center, 5725 Bagby Avenue, right behind Region 12 and across the highway from the Central Texas Marketplace, where motivation, inspiration, and hard work are the driving force. State-of-the-art equipment, indoor and outdoor track, locker rooms, showers, yoga and bar classes by Duality Yoga, Bod Pod potty composition analysis, and registered dietitians, all under one roof, where we rise above. Come join the Halo Athletic Center and be a part of the change, your change.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The SicEm365 Radio app is sponsored by Alan Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
So earlier today, we had former Baylor offensive lineman Jarrell Broxton on. If you missed that, it's up on the site in the premium section and all the sections, also on social media. He's now in Maryland trying to recuperate from a shoulder injury and surgery, getting ready possibly for some sort of spring league opportunity coming up in the upcoming spring. Also today, we heard from Terrell Bernard and Dylan Doyle, linebackers, both met with the media, as did R.J. Sneed. And Dylan Doyle on the Sunday night news about Ebner and Lovett about leaving or opting out or what's going on, and then the next day it changed when Dave Aranda announced that at 11 o'clock? Dylan Doyle and Terrell Bernard on how this team has moved forward from the drama on Sunday evening.
Yeah, so we had gotten the news about Tristan and John, and I think generally there was a little bit of confusion, but talking to those guys, there were personal things going on that we hadn't considered, and you know we've talked about it and we moved on from it. I think as a team, we probably had our best practice of the year yesterday on Tuesday. It was a physical practice with a lot of energy. We termed Tuesdays competition Tuesdays, and I think it was just that. We brought the energy, and that was a lot of fun. And, you know, we're moving on to TCU now. It's not about one guy. And, you know, we're focused on getting better as a team. And I think we did that yesterday, which is it's our biggest priority. So.
Yeah, I think really it's nobody's perfect. That's the main thing. I mean, tensions run high, especially when things aren't going how we want and we're not winning. But I think those guys have come back, and we all had meetings. We've had full team meetings, individual meetings, and you know they've explained their side. You know they kind of came out and said what they were thinking and what happened and where they were wrong. And you know we all came back and we all came together from it. And I think it's going to push us into this week. And I know everybody's put that behind us, and we're ready to go.
All right, so just to summarize, you heard Dylan Doyle say, yeah, when we got the news. Mm-hmm. And then you heard Terrell Bernard mention that the individual team meetings, they explained themselves. Doyle mentioned that they had some personal things they were dealing with as well. And then also Terrell Bernard saying that, hey, they admitted where they could have done something, they could have done it better, or they could have, where they went, what they did wrong. And so here we are. It's now Wednesday. That's over. But still, it was good to hear players talk about it today so that they can move on. And it appears as if that's good. We'll figure it out. This practice they had yesterday, it was so good. Did they have one today, tomorrow? Did they play well Saturday? And that's what will be the measurement of this team, because, boy, do they need a win. When we come back, Football Bob. Some of you joined the premium section of SicEm365.com for his analysis. And he's next to break down Texas and look ahead to TCU on SicEm365 Radio. All right, so PettyClinicLowT.com. Dr. Kent Petty can do one thing for you, help you become a higher performance man in various ways. Sleep, energy, sexual performance, all of the above, along with many things, even maybe to get you out of depression or maybe moodiness. And I'm not saying that you could just do that because of what he could do as well with his program when it comes to things that are going on with you personally, but he can help. And here's how you find out if you have an issue with testosterone. You go get your blood work. You go get your blood count. You go find out what your testosterone levels are or is. And Dr. Petty, if it's too low, will put you in a program to increase your testosterone level. Here's how you get a hold of him. PettyClinicLowT.com. Go online. There's a number. You could call him, get an appointment. He'll get you blood work. An appointment for that, and also tell them Smokey sent you, get discounted blood work. Find the results, get them, digest them, look at them, break them down, and then let you know if your testosterone level's too low. And if it is, he could put you in a program to help you become the high-performance man that you want to be. Energy, sleep, much more, just a lot of things, including your sexual performance and ED. PettyClinicLowT.com.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, everyone. This is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like mortgage lending, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
It's the heat of the summer, but the real heat is what you're cooking on the grill, smoker, or in the oven. So Waco Custom Marketplace can be your go-to playmaker for summertime grilling. You can't go eat anywhere else? Be your own chef with custom ordered and cut ribeyes, sirloins, fillets, New York strips with a focus on high-quality beef at a competitive price. Waco Custom Marketplace also has fresh deli cuts with sliced turkey, ham, pepperoni, or corned beef. Waco Custom Marketplace also your home for the freshest seafood in town. Salmon, shrimp, mahi-mahi. Great priced chicken products, whole birds, tenders, chicken breast, and wings. Waco Custom Marketplace with smoked items unique to Waco. House-made bacon, summer sausage, boudin, hot links, and German sausage. Every seasoning for every occasion, grilling, baking, or frying. Your hometown grocery store with canned goods, pasta, fresh baked bread, buns, chips, sauce, condiments to pickles, charcoal and lighter fluid, cold beer and wine. Best kolaches in Waco, mouth-watering cinnamon rolls, and here for the community every single day, helping you avoid the long lines in crowded stores, serving quality products to the Waco community. Go online for the weekly value boxes. Family owned and operated Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive at 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Are you a SicEm365 super fan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at SicEm365.com.
This Saturday in the Big 12, Iowa State, Kansas at 11 o'clock kick. K-State at West Virginia as well. 2:30 Baylor, TCU. At 3 o'clock, Texas at Oklahoma State in Stillwater, and Oklahoma, Texas Tech in Lubbock at 7 o'clock. We're now joined by Football Bob. If you look him up on Twitter, also on SicEm365.com in the premium section. And Gary Comer, to me, is a hell of a football coach and breaks it down. All right, so why can't Baylor stretch the field, Gary?
Oh, I think the number one issue is protection. I think that every time I see Baylor go back and run a route that's going to take more than 3 seconds, 3.5 seconds, protection is a real issue. And I think that we saw a game plan last week that was designed to be able to keep the quarterback upright and get the ball off on time within the consideration that 3 seconds is just about all the quarterback's going to have on a consistent basis.
Did they run the ball enough on Saturday?
Probably not. I mean, it's hard to say definitively yes, because I wasn't watching the practices or anything, but I feel like that they were really concerned about being able to block the front that Texas represented with the personnel that they had up front going on Saturday. You know, when you're missing your two best offensive linemen, and those two guys are probably head and shoulders above anybody else that they have, Xavier Newman-Johnson and Connor Gowan. those two guys, a loss of those two guys really, really makes a difference when you're talking cohesive run blocking. Now, later in the game, I will say that group of guys that we had out there on Saturday really did a pretty good job, especially on the GT counter, the G tight end counter. They really blocked well on those plays.
Bob, what did what you saw on Saturday and now the knowledge that they've got everybody back and they're actually practicing regularly? I know it's still going to take some time and it's going to take some more games, but were you more or less optimistic about the rest of this season with this team after what you saw on Saturday and knowing all the intangibles behind the scenes?
Well, I think that having everybody ready to go for a full week of workout is going to make a tremendous difference for Baylor. I know that those guys on offense are going to feel a lot more confident, and I think that they have a starting group that's going to be pretty good. I think that they have the opportunity to be good. But, TCU is going to do everything they can, and even some things a little bit more to try and cause Baylor some problems. So it's going to be a real challenge on Saturday going against TCU.
Gary, I have, and I think I will be until perhaps I just can't be, and I hope that means after his eligibility is over, what Charlie Brewer has meant to the program. And a lot of people said, okay, that's great, but what does he mean to the program now? I know there's challenges. I know that he would admit himself that he needs to play better. I know that he's taken hit after hit after hit, and there might be an attrition factor as well. Do you see, when you were a coach, when you start to look at the possibility, and Dave Aranda made it clear that Charlie Brewer's their guy. The receivers have made it clear, at least in the media, that that's their guy. But if you're a coach and you decide to do that to someone as much as he's accomplished, you better be right?
Absolutely. I mean, the thing that a lot of people forget is you've got to feel that if you're going to make a move like that, that it is an upgrade for the team, that the guy that you're going to put in there is going to be an answer that you don't have with the guy that you've been with for 3.5 years. I mean, Charlie has a great legacy. He's got a great body of work that you can look at. And you've got to feel like that if you're going to put somebody in there in his place, that guy is going to be better. And if you make that decision as a coach, you want it to be better. And if it's not, then you leave yourself open to a lot of criticism there.
Go ahead and ask him the question you asked Phil Bennett about playing players.
Okay. I'll ask you this just so the people know, and we say it again. In your coaching career, outside of a disciplinary or injury issue, did you ever play someone who was worse than someone else instead of playing the better player?
I heard you ask Phil that question yesterday, and my answer is exactly like Phil. No, I did not. I mean, I'm going to tell you that you're going to put the guys out there that you feel like are going to win the game for your team. You're going to put the best guys out there. Now, you might rotate some people in just to see, hey, this kid might be pretty good if we give him a chance or something like that. But for most of those situations, you're going to play the best player, the guy that you think gives you the best chance to win the game.
So the defense played an overall pretty solid game. I mean, they're not the reason why Baylor lost. And then again, they were part of the reason because of some of the busted plays. What did you see in some of those breakdowns, Football Bob?
Well, I think that, again, it's a deal that you have people back there that haven't worked together, and you also have a group of kids back there that didn't get a lot of practice in before this game. Secondary is one of those positions that you've got to see the motions, you've got to make the checks, you've got to do those things on the run in practice all week long to be good at doing it during the game. And you could tell, watching those guys play on Saturday, that they didn't always get their checks right. They didn't always have their communication right. And therefore, their coverages were lacking because they didn't have all the guys on the same page. And if you've just got one guy in the secondary that's not on the same page, it's going to show up on a pass play.
If, in fact, it wasn't the player, what the player received from the sideline was wrong, is that something that when you get together as coaches, that's called out and that's discussed immediately the next day?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You got to get your communication from the sideline, but you also have to get the communication on the field right, because any motion could cause you to have check coverage, could change responsibility for multiple guys, and everybody has to get that check. And one of the things that you can't let happen is some guys say, I didn't know. You know, if you're on the field, it's your job to know. It's your responsibility to know. You've got to see those things, and you've got to say, all right, do I need to check with so-and-so and make sure that I've got this right? And it's your responsibility to do that if you're on the field.
We're talking to Gary Comer, Football Bob, on Twitter, also on SicEm365. He'll break it down, digest it, and then spit it out for everyone to be able to read it and understand what we saw.
What do you think TCU's biggest issue has been this year?
Offensively, it's been the quarterback position. I mean, it's just been inconsistent or lackluster. But I think that they've also had some problems in the offensive line. And when you've got a situation at quarterback where you don't feel like you really have a great guy, problem in the offensive line is multiplied. It really makes it difficult to run an offense. And then I don't think that they have quite, of course, I could be eating these words, okay, so you might want to record this so I get to eat them. But I don't think that they have the kind of defensive line this year that they have had the past few years. I think it's a good defensive line, but it's not one of those defensive line that just beats you up and just runs by you at times. And I haven't seen that kind of performance out of them yet. Of course, we'll see how they play on Saturday.
Football Bob, with the field goal unit, we saw another miss this past Saturday, and it's kind of been quite erratic these last couple games. Now, I know that doesn't always boil down to the kicker. It could be the hold. It could be the protection, what have you. Have you seen anything in particular in regards to why Baylor's struggled to kind of get those what should almost be automatic points here in the last couple of contests?
I watch those things pretty closely, and I don't see any problem with the snap. I don't see any problem with the hold.
Okay.
I think what's happening is he's over-rotating on his kicks. I think he, when you pull your golf shot, that's kind of what is going on right now, is that he's just getting a little bit too much rotation. He's pulling them left. He's not hitting them clean. He's not hitting them pure. And, of course, those kinds of things build in your mind on the golf course. They build in your mind when you're kicking field goals. If I've done it before, I don't want to do it again, and doggone it if you don't go ahead and do it again. So he's just got to work through it. He's a good one. He's got to believe in himself.
Yeah.
He's just got to work through it.
Yeah, but how do you relate to that? You haven't missed a putt inside 4 feet in years.
Whatever.
I mean, it's like if a clutch putt, you walk, you get, it's good. You don't even understand. You can't relate to any of that at all.
Sure. You've seen me drive.
I remember the first hole I ever played with you. We all hit balls right down the middle of the fairway. I hit one night. Next thing I knew, I chunked my second shot. Next thing, I don't think any of us parred the first hole. It's a great game, is it not? It is a great game.
Oh, it is. It humbles you all the time.
All right.
So what do you think, Football Bob? First to 7 wins on Saturday with these two offenses?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm looking forward to Saturday. I'm looking forward to the games in all the conference. I think they're good matchups, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And I always look forward to Baylor TCU. I tell you what, it's a great rivalry, and I'm always happy when Baylor beats TCU, and not real happy when they don't.
Well, that'd be one big way for them to rebound after the feelings of the last couple of weeks. Would be a nice win, no matter what, by 1 or 100 over TCU. That'd be pretty great.
Yeah. Yep. Just win a
that
game.
1 point victory, is just great with them. I think everybody remembers that that extra on-time overtime field goal. And so wasn't that just a great victory? You know, you don't care how it happens. You just want it to happen.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it, Gary. Football Bob with us on SicEm365.com, and he does break it down. Of course, Sam Bradshaw will join us tomorrow, S11. It's great to have Phil Bennett on Monday to break it down, among others. Grayson on Fridays at 3:45, and all the staff. And it's just to have all these weapons that we have is fantastic.
So they need to clean up the communication on defense. And
I think that's from the coaching staff too.
Okay. Well, I mean, if it is, that's, even more reason to clean it up. They need to get not Noah Rauschenberg, but John Mayer's head right and get him back to the groove that he was in previous to this season, because he was, 2 years ago, he was like their leading point scorer.
Yeah.
And then last year he was pretty close to that as well. And then offensively, obviously, there's a lot of different issues. But again, it starts up front. And then, it goes to the quarterback as well and everybody else. But we know what the problems are. They need the time and they need the moments to fix them.
If we know what they are, then so do the coaches, so do the players. And it's one thing to know it. Now you got to go do something about it.
Yeah, I think sometimes people discount because – a star player in the NFL will not practice for 2 weeks, and then, they'll have 2 games where Julio Jones can't practice, and then he can, as long as he's healthy and his leg's not hurting, he can hit you up for 10 catches, 180 yards just like that without breaking a sweat. But, you need practice for a reason. There's a reason that they don't just spend all their time lifting weights and doing sit-ups. They practice what they do. They've got to practice the cohesiveness, and that's so important. And they've just not gotten it. So I think, you'll see this team is going to look a lot better at the end of the year, even maybe in some losses. They might lose some games and look a lot better than they did early in the year, just because, they'll be with some sort of normalcy because they'll be able to practice together week after week after week. And, that's probably true for most new coaching staffs, but this one in particular, because of what they've been hit with COVID and not getting to do all the things that they wanted to do. You heard it from R.J. Sneed. He's like, look, it's hard to get a rhythm. No spring ball, and then every other day you got a different guy that's out because of COVID or coming back. And again, none of us know what it's like to come back from that and have to play 60 minutes of football.
Yeah, I think I had it in February. I'm not sure.
Well, you weren't very contagious then.
No, I'm just. All right, we have about 5, 6, 8 minutes here. Armstrong, is that right? Let's see. Couple of things. This is in the SicEm Premium section, but the questions we were asked this week for you to contemplate if you want to send us your answers. How many points will it take to win the Baylor TCU football game?
12.
Hey. It's going to be a hard-fought 12 points.
10 would have won last year, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, in regulation it would have.
And that was a team that was an 11-3 team, right? But they 12?
12.
I said 23, but I kind of punted on this. I said, of course, somebody gets to 23, they may win by 2 touchdowns.
23 will look like one of those old 1968 Southwest Conference blowouts.
Yeah. Look like the Bryles offense.
Yeah.
Based on what we've seen here.
But I do think, and both of these teams are capable, and TCU can do this. How'd they beat Baylor 2 years ago? It wasn't the reverse, but it was a punt return.
Well, it's two plays by Jalen Reagor.
That's what I'm saying. Whoever can come up with a special team score, and or if you add on to that, a defense that sets up a short field, whether it's a turnover or you're forcing the punt from the one, which you wanted to do against Texas, but you punted it through the end zone. You can do that. One of those two, if you put both of them together, ball game.
Well, see, that's why this team was so good last year. I don't think this team's all that different from last year, but this team doesn't make most of their field goals. This team doesn't block kicks. This team doesn't but they have shown the ability to flash on special teams with the return game more than last year's team did. So it's not like everything's not as good as it was by any means. It's just that there's certain areas that we've already identified a million times that have to get better, and they should get better with more time playing together. But they're not doing everything they did to win close games last year just yet. And again, they've only played 3. So, I feel like a lot of this is a big-time overreaction. Anybody who's, really pulling their hair out over being 1 and 2 at this point, I think you got to just calm down a little bit. But they're not quite making all those difference-making plays they made last year. But, when they needed some, like I tweeted out during the Texas game, they were down by like 3 scores with, a quarter left or whatever. I was like, they need like 2 game-changing plays in the next 5 minutes. And 2 minutes later, JT Woods intercepts a pass and nearly runs it back. But what did they really do with it? Yeah, I mean, did they score after that? JT Woods, was that a touchdown pass?
Yeah,
but they needed 2 more after that, and they didn't quite get that. They can't play fourth quarter ball all the time where, all of a sudden the offense can get going in the fourth quarter. Or all of a sudden, make some plays in the first and the second quarter, and then the fourth quarter is not as stressful for you.
Yeah, I agree. They're close. And then again, they may not be.
They're not a bad football team, in my opinion. They're not like a bad football team. They're a team that's just figuring it out right now.
Yeah, if you don't get the key turn, last year they would get the key turnover. They'd block a field goal, or they would, get the ball at the 40 and get an easy. And they would take advantage of it offensively last year as well.
Look,
all right, so you say how many points?
I said 20-21.
Okay, I said 23 and you said 12.
But how many close games did they win last year?
Oh, that was a bunch.
And, they were very much on the verge of not being 11-3.
They also lost 2 close games,
yeah,
too.
So... But I went 20 or 21 just because, for the sake of TCU scoring 20 points, then Baylor would need 21, but in that area.
All right. There's a couple other ones. Like, I put about the best live sporting event you watched last year. I said there's 2 of them. I'll put it up there. I just said 2 losses. One of them was the game with Oklahoma at home in football, and the other one was Kansas at home in basketball. Unfortunately for Baylor, both of them were losses.
I went with a different Oklahoma game. I went with the Big 12 title game because I feel like that was a bit more of a back-and-forth affair as far as, Oklahoma punched and then Baylor answered, and then Oklahoma punched and then Baylor answered, and then Oklahoma punched and then Baylor, it was back and forth. And all of that without Charlie Brewer for the most part. Yeah. And a couple big plays from CeeDee Lamb, pretty much. But they did a pretty good job, and that was just more of a roller coaster, whereas that first game, the atmosphere was fantastic, but I just can't get out of my head, being up, the feeling in the stadium when they're up huge at the half and then just completely cratering the way that they did in the second half. That was kind of hard to watch, but that was a great atmosphere though. It was.
I would say that mine, and I'm just verifying this by looking, I think it was Baylor versus Butler that came down.
It's 53-52. Yeah.
Yeah. It was just an absolute slobber knocker of a game.
You went with the Lady Bears game. Come on now.
I'm just going to admit this right now on SicEm365 radio. The question was that you witnessed live.
Okay, well there you go.
I only went to one of those games last year.
Kim Mulkey is looking at you right now.
She knows.
Shaking her head.
She knows.
Of course she
tells
does.
me all the time when I see her.
But here's the thing: SicEm365 has some people that listen that don't think we give them enough credit, so we just pushed them down a notch. We will be at their games, at a lot of them, and we'll cover them. And you know that with interviews as well, although it's so difficult. That's one of the things I miss about the media sessions after a game, or I miss about Craig being at practice for us and doing live cut-ins, because I can't get close over to Charlie Brewer after he's done with 3 or 4 other people and just get a question or two to him, whether I'm recording or not. I miss that. I miss the assistant coaches being available.
I've said this before, of just being able to go and you see a guy in a leg cast and you're like, oh, okay,
yeah,
that's noticeable. Or a guy who's been hurt and you're wondering how they're feeling, and you can clearly see in the last 5 minutes that you were given a window that he was practicing that day. Just little things like that you can pick up on who are friends with each other, who gets along and who kind of hangs out and is buddy and things like that. We don't get any of that now.
I'll just say, from covering the Cowboys the years that I have too, when you especially get into professional locker rooms, you can get a real feel for, do things work in here? Is this a productive workplace? And Smokey, you and I went up and did our show from the Star in 2016 when the Cowboys were just rolling along with Dak, and it was, Zeke was great, and we walked in and they were all playing a game in the locker room and everybody liked each other. And then towards the end of last year, it wasn't like they didn't like each other. It was just that they were just mentally worn out. They were just like, that was the feeling.
What are they now?
Well, but now I couldn't even tell you.
Emotionally,
I couldn't even tell you. And even Machota, you heard him. He has a hard time saying, because they're not in the locker room. You don't get to.
Christy Scales is one of the few, and she even doesn't have all.
Yeah, you don't get to walk up and go, man, how you Sometimes you just go, hey, how you doing? How's it like? Is your elbow good? Are you all right? And you're not even recording. You're just like, hey, you look like you're better.
Yeah.
Just friendly talk.
There's 3 or 4 guys in the locker room. You got to lean on Marcus Spears, Jason Hatcher, obviously Ratliff, Roy Williams, and I'm just not dropping names. These are guys, Terrence Newman, I could actually get something out of them. By the way, again, high school football tonight, La Vega and Alvarado play tonight. That's a Wednesday night game. So the Cowboys traded Everson Griffin yesterday. They released Don Terry Poe and Darryl Worley today. Max Muncy, World Series champion. Want to make sure we get that in again.
Very deserving.
Yep.
He had a huge role.
Absolutely. Great stuff there. The Texans closed their facility after a positive COVID test. They're on a bye week anyway. Former Rockets GM Daryl Morey is going to be a part of the 76ers.
I think that's a good move by the Sixers. I do.
Right.
And they've made a lot of moves, but I think that one's actually a good one.
I agree. We kind of got into the Justin Turner thing. I know that went
really.
viral.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, literally, Justin Turner made the World Series viral.
So got a positive test in game,
got pulled in the 8th.
Yes, then had to leave, and then in the post-game celebration, celebrating the World Series, he comes back out, no mask or anything, and is just amongst the people, and that's what people are pulling their hair out about, is that if he was positive COVID, had to leave the game, and then he comes back out, basically tells everybody to go F themselves if they're telling him to leave.
Yeah.
And it's just around everybody. And so it'll be interesting to see in the next couple of days if there's a lot of Dodgers family, friends, players popping positive for it. But, I mean...
Well, I get his logic in that I was just out here all day. Mm-hmm. Like, what is this going to make a difference? Sure. But the problem is that he and the Players Association agreed to the rules of that.
No, what he did is probably something that adrenaline took over his mind and body. But... yeah, there's an agreement there, and so he's going to either be fined $100,000 or suspended for the first week. I don't know.
I totally get it.
He'll get suspended longer than any Astro.
Right, wrap up. We'll get Football Bob. Thanks to Seth Kozlowski. Thanks to John Machota. Thanks to, oh my goodness, Olin Buchanan, and thanks as well to Terrell Bernard and Dylan Doyle and R.J. Sneed and Scott Drew. Jared Butler and Jarrell Broxton. Again, thanks to Armstrong, Jack, and of course, everyone else who's a part of it, including Paul Catalina, Craig Smoke. I'm David Smoke. Thank you for listening whenever you do, however long it might be. SicEm365 Radio.
Let's face it, some people just like driving around in the nude. Hi, Jay here from Pickup Outfitters to talk about those truck owners that know they have naked trucks but simply don't care. You'll hear them saying something like, I'm just driving around free and easy, nothing constricting me. Gross. But there is something that can entice almost any naked truck owner. Leather. I mean, they kind of go together, right? And Pickup Outfitters is an authorized dealer and professional installer of cat skin leather seats. So I'm asking you to do your part and help us end truck nudity. The next time you're near your naked truck owner friend, you can say something like, you know what would really be sexy on your truck? Leather. And they'll get that sly smile, and you know you've hit them in their weak spot. Pickup Outfitters installs factory matching leather kits or custom kits in just about any color combination for your truck or even car. It's the sexy thing to do. You can be part of the problem, or you can create a commotion with cat skin leather seats at Pickup Outfitters. 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. And this football season, you need to stop by on game day for curbside pickup or stop by their tent next to SicEm365 at Brazos Parking for your pregame refreshment. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
A group of over 30 physicians in Central Texas became frustrated seeing patients fail at losing weight themselves. They opened Muscle-Wise Nutrition. We've seen too many patients suffer from complications of obesity. Patients who have tried countless do-it-yourself diets, which often results in 25% of the weight they lose coming from muscle breakdown and muscle loss. We needed another approach, so we opened Muscle-Wise Nutrition. This is a coach-managed diet program to lose substantial weight, targeting fat while sparing muscle. Dieters are seen weekly by a coach who performs detailed body composition